Your YouTube feed is crap. Stop wasting your time watching bot-boosted shills and self-appointed gurus cloying for your attention. Instead, join the Gosslings interview live stream and podcast. The Gosslings, a dark-lit digital speakeasy of free thinkers. A super chat of radical truth-seeking wizards who eat trolls for second breakfast. Topics that'll make your mama's hair stand on end. Ideas that'll make your pastor's knees knock. Guests that will illuminate the hidden chambers of your mind. And interviews that strike down the darkness. Welcome to the Gosslings. What's up, everybody? Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening. We are so good. We have 8 people. Look at this on a Friday night. So glad you guys are joining us tonight. We got something special lined up for you. I know this is kind of weird. What are we doing on a Friday night here? Well, I will tell you what we are doing.
What are we doing?
This is the first ever Gosslings midweek live stream. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gosslings. I am host 1 tonight, Nick Goss. This is my brother, host 2, Jonathan. We have in studio with us our first ever guest on the midweek live stream, Gabe, the Babe Bello.
What's
the
up?
Man right here joining us in studio. Very glad he's joining us. Tonight we're going to be talking about all the weird goings on over the past week. We're going to talk about the degenerate. We're going to talk about the reprobate, the sons of Belial.
From the apostolic to the apostate.
Things in the sky, identified and otherwise, shot down once, nay twice, possibly 3 times.
A mayday.
A Nephilim charm for all to behold.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's live stream. We're really glad you're joining us. Let me turn this down. It is really intense. Get those kids. Get them kids in bed. Tuck them in. We're going to be here for a while. And we're glad you're watching. Sound off in the chat. Tell us if you can hear us, if you can see us. What do we got? Chris Caps, what's going on?
What's up, Chris?
Good to see you tonight, sir.
Yeah, Gabe pulling double duty.
Yep, triple.
He's all over it. He's watching. He's the guest.
He's troubleshooting our audio.
He's streaming it to his thing. Yes, sir.
It's like I'm the fixer. I'm just gonna come in and do a bunch of things.
Yep, Chris Caps is on he's watching it from my channel, and my mom is on my channel.
Hey, Miss Bella, good evening. Welcome.
Yeah, you know, the first time we saw that, it was Micah Turnbow who had paired. It's man, it's such a genius idea. We got to get like everybody to do that.
Yes,
you know who has the.
That's how we grow together.
Yeah.
Tonight, we're going to begin our live streams like we begin all of them. We're going to begin it with our toast.
Nice.
Let me get the ticker up here. Grab your beverages, whatever you may or may not be drinking. And why don't you start this time?
Yeah. Take up the broken sword of your father
and strike down the darkness. Cheers.
It's such good apple juice.
Wonderful apple juice.
My apple juice is turned, guys. I don't know.
Was it cider? A little cider?
Yeah, a little cidery, that one.
That's just his Irish DNA.
He pickles everything he touches.
Yeah. He's so sour, everything ferments the second it hits his lips.
Oh, I love that. Some nice apple juice.
Oh, that's some nice apple juice you got there. That's literally horse urine.
But I filtered it through a potato, so it's okay.
Yeah.
So, dude, you came through Nashville, Gabe. What brings you to Nashville? Tell us what's going on.
So last night I had the my Stevie Wonder tribute show. Played it at City Winery, nice. And I'm, as all of us are, we're always working. We're dedicated to everything that we put our hands to. And I said, I don't spend enough time seeing my family. I don't spend enough time seeing my friends. So my older and younger brother, they live here in town.
Cool.
And I tried to see them last year, and we don't go out of our way to see family.
Yeah.
Because they, They have families, careers. I have family, career.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to stop, smell the roses,
Yeah.
go see them. And then I was like, wait a minute. My other brothers
That's right.
are here in Nashville. And I was like, we're trying to build this kingdom ministry work together.
That's right.
I was like, we could do a live stream
That's a
together
great idea.
in person.
Yeah.
And it's bananas. Like, so I get out of the gig last night at
10:30.
it's close to 11. Like by the time I got everybody paid, I got all my stuff taken care of. I sat down,
You paid people?
Oh,
dare
absolutely.
you.
Immediately. So, and
That's true kingdom work, people.
absolutely. Yes. Spicy apple juice, huh, guys? Yeah. So I used to pay folks with checks, and now I pay them electronically, so they have their cash instantaneously. Because musicians, most musicians, they live in
Hand to mouth.
Yeah, very much so. So I got everybody taken care of. Got to your place.
Hand to bank mouth. That's an inconvenience.
Yeah, I mean, if it even makes it to the bank.
Yeah.
You know. So I got to Jonathan's last night. I don't know, close to 11:30, and then we were just talking and. To the wee
4
hours. To the wee hours.
Nice.
And it went by like 45 minutes. And it's like, oh, is that were we talking about the cock crowing last night, or was that this morning?
Both.
Yeah.
Yes, is the answer. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
And I'm pretty sure we just about heard it crow. So it's like, I think it's time for bed. So
Nice.
yeah, we're here, and like I can y'all, is it tangible over there in the internet land? I can feel it, like the energy's like just crackling. It's almost crackling here.
Every Sunday it's
tangible.
in here. Crackling. Oh, let me turn this heater off. It's nice.
Maybe that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's probably, or it's the apple juice.
Yeah.
The apple juice. We got Cassandra O'Neill. She says, "What's up, Gabe?
Cassandra O'Neill.
Nice.
Overbuilt
What's up, Cassandra?
Automotive. What's going on? Good
Hey,
to
Automotive.
see you. Mike Fisher's watching,
What's up, Mike?
and Mama Bear.
Oh, nice.
Very good.
Hey, Mama
Very
Bear.
good. Appreciate it. And if
Yeah.
you're watching right now and you have not done it yet, we would really appreciate your support. You got to do this every time you do a live, live or otherwise. Hit the subscribe button if you wouldn't mind. Take up the broken sword of your finger and strike down the subscribe button. Smack the bell. Do the things. It really, 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 really helps, and we really appreciate it.
Ring that bellow.
Yeah, ring the
Ring the bellow.
and
This is what it's going to be for the next hour, people. So
Oh, yeah.
That deserves a
That's
sound
good.
effect. Like those sound effects. There's so many sound effects in there.
that was
Or
apropos,
maybe,
or maybe yeah, that's the better one.
I should do that every time I do a pun. Just reach over.
Should we mention Kothon real quick?
Yeah.
Kothon Spartan mugs, handcrafted by Joel Jericho, JerichoPottery.com. Master Potter, everyone handmade. Go check them out. They're amazing. This is what the Spartans drank out of. He made these in collaboration with Stephen Pressfield. They're beautiful. As you can see, we drink out of them every week. Go over and check them out. Drink like a Spartan
That's right.
at JerichoPottery.com.
Yes.
And, of course,
Giordani Jovanovic hair care products made by real men for real men, or as I like to say, be as sexy as you are deadly. Give 007 a run for his money. Awaken your inner John Wick with Giordani Jovanovic hair and skincare products. Everything from beard oil to body lotion and hair growth serum to shampoos and conditioners. If you're wondering why my beard looks as on fleek as it does,
I never thought I'd hear on fleek come out of your
stop
mouth.
trying to make fetch happen, Gretchen. And that's then JordaniJovanovic.com.
Nice.
Mike Fisher is the proprietor. He's also one of our good friends and greatest supporters.
The man.
Yeah.
A blessing.
Dude, he and his Instagram promo things that he makes for us are killer.
Yeah, they're
and
awesome.
he's got a real talent for that.
Yeah.
So he's a man of many talents. Small business owner, lives out in Arizona with his wife, and they are awesome people and very sweet to us.
Oh,
check
and he
him
just wrote a comment asking about UFOs. So we're gonna be
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that in just a second, Mike. Actually,
Yeah.
absolutely. I want to talk about that. Ice Queen Empress is watching.
Ice
Glad you're here.
Queen,
Thanks
what's
for
up?
joining in. Chris Cap says, switched over to Gosslings' channel to show some love. Thanks, man. This is epic.
yes.
We stole one of your people.
No, not stole. we're here to collaborate.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Shared love right here.
Not
Shared
compete.
love.
We're
By the
not here
way,
to compete.
Gabriel Bello's YouTube channel, Gabriel Bello Music, is amazing. Everybody should go over there and subscribe to it and give it the video some likes and let the playlist run. Gabe could use watch hours the way we could use subscribers. And so a lot of his videos are short and they are of extremely high value quality. And you've been doing some longer form videos, some musical composition videos, which are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a smart move. Good idea. And we're happy to see it. And they've been fascinating to watch. It's just cool to watch the creative process.
Yeah.
It's way cooler than if you were to watch me or Nick try to write a book. You know? Like,
Speak for yourself.
yeah, okay, fair enough. No, I've seen Nick write, and it's every bit as boring as it is watching me write.
Yeah, it's like 400. I'm like 475 watch hours away from monetization.
Oh, come on.
And as soon as it hits it, as you guys know, like once you're monetized, YouTube pushes you to the front of the line because they're like, man, if people watch this, we make money.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
And Gabe has got like twice the subscribers that we have.
Yeah.
So like he's clearly doing something right. He just needs more time, you know, people to spend more time on the plate.
Yep.
Mama Bear's got a great comment. She says, I got the Spirit World book by Clarence Larkin.
Oh, yeah.
It is a good read, and let's see. Oh, it is good. I read the entire thing the day it came in the mail.
Wow. Yeah, nice.
Spirit World by Clarence Larkin was written in the early 1920s, if I remember correctly.
So.
It was written pretty much 100 years ago.
Yep.
And it's a small book, but it's a genius book. My father gave it to me when I was 17, when I started writing the Heavenly Realms novels.
Yeah.
And it talked about everything that like Gary Wayne and Derek Gilbert and the Gosslings and what everybody's talking about these days with the Nephilim and just the end time stuff. You know, he touches on dispensationalism, the rapture.
Yep.
Fallen angels, the difference between fallen angels and demons, and it was written 100 years ago. This is not new information.
that's right.
Yep.
And that book, like that book by Clarence Larkin, it wasn't the only one he wrote, but it really was instrumental in forming my cosmology for the Heavenly Realms series.
Yeah.
And then eventually really kind of influencing the Gosslings.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
Well, and a great companion book to that, also by Clarence Larkin, is The Great Dispensation.
oh yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
the same dispensational eschatology
Mhm.
goes right in line with the Spirit World, but
Yeah.
it really lays out. It's got all the cool maps and graphics and
That's
everything
right.
that we love Clarence Larkin for. That's a good
Yeah,
one too.
his diagrams of especially of the underworld
Yeah.
are
Oh.
really cool
Yeah.
to like see it, you know, laid out in visual.
It's the type of
format.
cool old book that you'd find like in the Vatican archives. So they're trying to keep
Yeah.
it. They don't want people to.
It's one of
find
those Indiana
Mm.
Jones books.
It's a, well, it's a
You
Nick
know.
Cage book at least.
It belongs in a museum.
yeah. It's at least
It's really good.
It's
man.
at least a national treasure book. And I guess it came out like around the same time as like spiritualism and you know all that kind of like turn of the century,
Yeah.
new age kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's super based.
Yeah.
So like it's pretty dope. Yeah, we love it.
Well, let's
Yeah.
get into the topic of. Let's go with Mike Fisher's topic first about.
This is ice water, by the way. No, to answer your question, no, this
Yeah,
is
no,
not
that's
shot.
not. That's not
Yeah.
moonshine.
This is.
Jew and Greek is watching.
Oh, nice.
Rod.
What's up?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Glad you're watching, man. Thanks for coming over here and hanging with us.
Yeah.
The Rod's actually got some cool videos about UFOs, and a Scientologist friend of his that has seen some crazy things. So that might be a way that the three of y'all can collab and talk about that stuff.
Yeah,
Because
I'd love to
Rod's,
talk about that.
That'd be awesome.
yeah, it's a pretty crazy story, and I'm sure there's more in depth that he didn't share in that video because it was a short, like maybe 10-15 minute thing. So it's crazy.
That's cool.
It's crazy.
That's cool. We just interviewed Guy Malone, and we're going to
Yeah.
be playing that interview on Sunday. And Guy, you know, he's an editor for Bitcoin Magazine, so a lot of the conversation was around Bitcoin and crypto and all that. But Guy also has organized or was a part of the first Christian UFO conference in Roswell, and he ran for mayor I think it was last year. Ran for mayor of Roswell too. So he's really based as well, and he's got a lot of really interesting, surprising things to say about the whole UFO phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good conversation.
Gonna be
Oh
unique
boy,
thing.
Sunday's gonna be good.
Sunday's going to be
Mhm.
good indeed. I'm going to put Mike's comment up here.
Okay.
Just to kind of stamp the video so we know when this particular topic begins.
Okay.
Yeah. So we know that like last week there was a Chinese balloon, a balloon from China.
Mhm. China.
China. That
200 feet tall.
that was allowed to float across the entire continental U.S.
Yep.
Before we decided to take it down. And what I found interesting was that today, when they shot down that one whatever thing it was in
Mm.
Alaska, you know, the former vice president was acting very, very authoritative.
Mm.
Like, oh yeah, no, we
Shouting
don't.
at his oatmeal.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, tapioca in chief.
Yeah, the tapioca. Yeah, he's, you know, it was like, oh, we need to shoot it down. Absolutely, we're gonna take it down. Like, you know, pretending to be strong and make good decisions. Where last week we saw him just turn a blind eye while we exposed ourselves, drop trowel.
He
as
had
that
some
thing went
naps
over
to
the-
take.
He did. Oh boy, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I found interesting about the one we shut down over Alaska today, before it actually got to the contiguous 48, was that they said it was about the size of a car.
Yeah, it was smaller.
It was nothing like the surveillance balloon that was shot down earlier in the week, and that's all that they would tell us.
Yeah, they wouldn't admit where. When asked where they thought it came from or who owned it, literally the quote is, "We have no idea." That was on
They have
task
no
and purpose.
And who
today.
buys that?
They're uncovering the wreckage, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're uncovering the wreckage. Do you think they're going to actually reveal what that was?
It'll be gone.
What do you think the spin's going to be?
If there is any spin, if anybody bothers to follow up with it, then I'm sure they will either say it's of unknown origin, or they, might blame it on the Russians. Because when in doubt,
Blame it on the Russians.
What flies?
when balloons are falling.
What can fly at 40,000 feet that's the size of a small car?
your mom.
That's not a balloon.
I don't know.
Lizzo.
I'm going to go ahead and do that. Nice.
Sorry, couldn't help myself. I know we're going to be talking about music later, so I got the Grammys on my mind.
Oh,
Yeah.
Don't. I've been
Yeah.
trying to get them off my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly. I mean, there's so much weird technology out there. Here's the thing to think about. They've had magnetic pulse railguns since the 70s. They've had...
That's so surprising to me.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it's such an advanced thing.
Yeah.
Like now,
Mm-hmm.
to use railguns like that.
It's almost like whatever video games and movies come up with as far as like sci-fi tech, there's a very good chance, because there has been evidence linking Hollywood with the government, whether
CIA,
it's,
Project
CIA,
Mockingbird.
and DARPA. So like a lot of these things they give each other ideas.
Yep.
So Hollywood is as the spellcasting propaganda arm, of the Luciferians.
It's Luciferian.
Take a drink. Yeah.
Right. It's Luciferian.
Yeah. Then like, they are giving this information as ideas, prepackaged ideas to people. And there's a good chance that like this kind of stuff has probably existed for a long time, like microwave technology,
Predictive programming.
Yeah.
and soft telegraphing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But when Hollywood does it, they're like fictionalizing it, so you think that it could not
pre-
possibly be reality,
Yeah, it's
even though it already
repackaged.
is. Yeah, they don't want you to.
yeah, when
suspect
you're
that
playing
it
when you're
exists.
playing like Quake and you pick up the railgun, and you're
Well, it was Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
yeah, that's right, Eraser. Yeah.
Quick shout out to
Yeah.
Rick Ballantyne and Steven from Thailand. So Rick Ballantyne and Charlotte, amazing
Oh,
producer,
nice.
strong believer, and White Horse Studios. That's that ministry I was telling you guys about. But back to the railguns.
Oh, nice.
Want to make sure we acknowledge them before it got lost in the chat feed.
Let's see. We also just launched an unarmed ICBM test. Yeah, that's interesting.
I saw that in End Times headlines, by the way, on Instagram. If you don't follow End Times headlines,
Yes,
you should, because
legit.
everything that's broken in mainstream media, I've gotten a day in advance from End Times headlines.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are
Wow.
on top of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you should check them out. Yeah, but yeah, I saw that it was an ICBM we launched out in the Pacific towards Russia. I don't think it was like an armed, I think it was a test, but it was kind of, what were we doing there? Who were we signaling our strength to?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that was a bluff for a flex. Like, hey y'all, it's I feel like it's that scene in Punisher. We have more guns than you do. It's like, we don't have more guns than you do, but it's like, you guys want to send balloons? We'll send a missile.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
Do you think that was the former vice president's idea?
Heck no. He was He was at home washing his tights. What movie is that from? We literally spoke. We went back.
Crap.
Oh, we talked about sound bites, but we literally were just going back and forth with movie quotes, and after an hour of it, we said Nick's eyes would have glazed over by now. He would look like the Undertaker. He'd have been just sitting there. Gong.
Gabe and I's ADHD brains come together for like just
Captain Planet. What were we talking about?
Oh my gosh, don't sing Captain Planet.
Everybody's a tree.
That's right. Hey, you better recycle before I
He's
turn
a
you into
hero.
a stinking tree.
You're a tree. You're a tree.
That's something we were looking at last night as well.
The Don Cheadle
Oh my
Funny or
goodness.
Die thing where he plays Captain Planet, but
Darth Vader sound.
but he's evil. Yeah.
You guys, have you seen that they're doing the recycling program with human bodies? Have you seen
Oh
that?
yeah, where they
Have you seen
plant them in.
that? They
like-
have green burials. Obviously, you
Yeah.
can have a green burial, but they're actually like composting the human bodies.
Yeah.
in some countries.
There's a great meme about that. They're trying to do it here, and they're like, you can like you can compost your body and like plant the remains under a tree in the special forest, and it's like, and there's like a picture of a dude who's just like, that's how we get ghost forest. Like, do you want ghost forest? Because that's how you get the haunted ghost forest.
Are they going to call it the Soylent Forest? Soylent Forest is people.
Maybe if they do that with me and they grow some like peppers,
Mhm.
they will not be spicy. It'll be the most boring. They'll be bell peppers. They'll be brown bell peppers is what they'll be.
No
What are you talking
flavor.
about? We're planting you
got
in a
no
potato
flavor.
garden.
Oh,
Yeah.
Emotional damage.
make fun of my Irish heritage like that. How dare you? How dare you?
That's how The Last of Us starts.
Mhm.
That's
That's right.
funny,
That's
Chris.
how it is. Yep, that's how it starts. By the way, Overbuilt, to answer your question from earlier, I have seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and it's a hilarious and adorable movie, and I think everybody should watch it. I don't know if Nick has seen it. Gabe, you probably have seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil, right?
That's
I
actually
have
one
not.
of the
I
few.
have not.
That's one of the ones I've seen. What's the one with the British guy, Simon Pegg?
Oh yeah, Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead.
I've
That
seen
one I've
Shaun of the
seen.
Dead,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of that same vein.
Pub.
Yeah, yeah, it's cute. It's a fun movie. Alan Tudyk is in it.
Did you see that thing from Overbuilt on the some prophetic word? This
No, I
guy.
didn't.
This guy had Russia and more prophetic words like 3 days ago to Rumble channel Elijah streams. What was the prophetic word about Russia, brother?
Yeah, I was reading that earlier while we were talking. Barry Wunsch, America the Breaker, anointing is upon you.
Oh, Chris loves the which one do you love, Chris? Is it the Dale and Tucker thing, or is it the Shaun of the Dead? Yeah, it's crazy, man. You know, is it? And the thing is, anybody that believes anything the government's saying at this point, I mean, like, what kind of a rube are you to think that they're going to tell you the truth?
Yeah.
We don't know what it is. So, to me, the rule of thumb is whatever they say,
It's not.
the opposite.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is. Believe them.
Yeah,
You know, like they know what it is.
Yeah.
They know what it is. They just, oh, well, we don't know what that balloon was doing.
Dude.
Honestly, it's like,
Yeah.
to me, the fact that they waited till it was over water to shoot it should kind of be a major red flag, because if that should kind of tell you what was up there was harmful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they couldn't shoot it over our soil.
Oh yeah, I mean it went over the Midwest. It went over Montana. You're telling me they couldn't have shot it down over Montana?
Yeah, no, the governor of Montana, my wife was telling me that he made a statement saying,
Shoot it down.
I'm good.
Yeah.
It's enough. There's 16 of us and some cows.
Yeah,
What's gonna
right.
hit a cow?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
the I mean, there are more parts that fly off of planes crisscrossing this country in a day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I get that thing was 200 feet tall and, had a chassis like the size of a Cessna, or whatever, or a school bus. But like at a certain point, as a matter of national security. But the thing is, like, Mike just sent me a picture of all of the U.S. military bases in and around China.
Mhm.
So
That one's close.
It had to pass over how many of those before it
And-
got to us?
yeah, and that's more or less its flight path, as it came up around the Bering Strait and down Canada.
Yeah.
You know,
It went
so
it went
crossed-
around them. It went around them.
It crossed Canadian
Yeah.
territory.
Yeah. It went up their coast.
But hey, people, satellites are real and the Earth is round.
Yeah, set.
It went up and it was screeching on the dome before it. But y'all don't know nothing about that.
Yeah.
Y'all don't.
Yeah.
But once again, believe what the government tells you. Yeah.
If you want to talk about Earth and its properties and its
I award you no points.
and its globishness, you'll want to tune in on April 22nd.
April.
I'm looking forward to that
We
one.
have a very special stream for you guys on Earth Day.
What day would
We
April
hear you, Anthony.
22nd Is Earth Day? Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
So we're gonna have a very, very commemorative Foxtrot Earth Day. Foxtrot Lima
yeah.
Alpha Tango Earth Day
Yeah,
for all of you,
it's gonna be super
because that's how we
interesting.
roll on the Gosslings.
Yeah,
Chris said, didn't a powder substance fly out of it when
Yeah.
they shot it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, was it anthrax? That they were. I mean, like they're going back. Hey, let's try one from '97.
Yeah.
Let's try anthrax. We haven't had that in a while.
Yeah.
Powdered milk.
I never thought about it until you guys said it that like maybe
Maybe they were just trying to
that
deliver
was
some powdered
filled
milk.
with some sort of maybe there was some sort of bio agent in the balloon,
Mhm.
and that's why they didn't want to shoot it down. But at what point did they know or suspect that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or at what point did they factor that in?
Well, they know we're
Kansas?
still. I know they know we're still having a formula shortage. I mean, one of the musicians, one of the musicians from the show last night was actually telling like how much of a struggle they're having. He has a 1-year-old, and how like
Yeah.
they're having trouble affording formula.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they were trying to send over.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of formula. They were
Humanitarian
just-
aid.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
they just Willy Wonka up there.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to view paradise, simply look up and view it. Ching chong ching chong chong
Would
ching
it be
chong
funny if
ching.
when they popped that
trying to
thing
sing
over the
you.
Atlantic?
Powder for your baby.
Wouldn't it be funny if that thing was full of those white things that come out of chickens' butts? Just like 3
Yeah.
million of them just
Yeah.
dropping into the sea.
Oh, they're called they're calling them now
just trying
sea
to help you.
seeds. They're calling them sea seeds now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. We can't actually
Can't
use what
say
they are.
the
We have to
actual
deal with them like they're a street drug now. So it's
Yeah.
sea seeds.
How
You know-
long? Yeah, how long do you think it is before that is like a? I tell you what is harder to, allegedly in Minecraft, what is harder to get than cocaine and more dangerous to get than like a Schedule 1 drug in this country? Raw milk.
Mm.
Good luck
Yep.
if like you're
I've heard that,
in
yeah.
the Mennonite community or the Amish community. Like for sure, the FDA will be stalking you, making sure that like. Heaven forbid
That's the
you sell.
That's the contraband. That's what they.
Yeah, that's why they keep,
Yeah.
they don't want any electronic devices around you, so nothing can be spied upon.
Mhm.
But once again, why did the government even make that illegal?
Hmm.
Oh, it's really bad for you, which means it's really good for you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, if you haven't learned anything over the past 3 years, you cannot trust a single institution. You
No.
have to question everything.
Question
Education,
everything.
media,
Mhm.
the justice system.
Yeah.
The federal government, maybe even your state government.
Oh,
You
100%.
can't trust
100%. Oh, we were talking about that last night with what was it? Oh, yeah, I was sharing with Jonathan a story of something that happened during the lockdowns in a small Mayberry-like town in North Carolina that a friend of mine lives in, and the police that you would think, we back the blue, and the police are they're on your side, and they're there to defend and uphold the Constitution. And this woman was going bankrupt, so she went to open her store, and the local police came and arrested her.
Mm-hmm.
And he said at that point, and this guy bleeds red, white, and blue. His father served in the Vietnam War, and he said at that point, I was done.
Mm-hmm.
I was done.
Yeah.
I'm not, because it's just we're following orders.
Yeah.
We were just following orders.
Yeah.
And so even then, because we were talking about like, well, in Florida, you had the police that were doing the good stuff, but it was because they were following the lead of their governor. So
Mhm.
many just follow the leadership. So
Yeah.
if we don't have good, honest, pure, moral leaders, so goes the way of all men.
Dude,
Yeah.
and we're so weak. I mean, even our churches are weak. There were some churches.
Preach.
There's a church in Kansas City, Missouri, and that city said during the lockdown,
Mhm.
they said everything had to shut down, including places of worship.
Yeah.
This particular church It's called Abundant Life. Refused to do it. And when they refused to do it, synagogues, mosques, and other churches were
Followed.
emboldened to
Yep.
follow.
Mm-hmm.
All it takes is one.
And they emailed the pastor.
Yeah.
They would mail the pastor, and they said, "Thank you for taking a stand."
Mhm.
You know, so that's in a state that was actually taking action against places of worship.
Mhm.
Here in Tennessee, right here in this town, and I'm not going to say which church I'm referring to in my little town of Spring Hill, Tennessee, and I'm not going to say whether or not I actually attend this church. There were no mandates that places of worship shut down,
Yeah.
but this particular church chose to do it because the
Simp.
church isn't a building.
Mm.
The church is all of us, and we
Yep.
met in home churches and streamed it. We just didn't want anyone. We didn't want to contribute to the spreading of the thing,
Yeah.
you know. And I
Even though
thought
the
that
Bible says,
I thought that was really
forsake not the gathering, get together, unless.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, was there an unless? Is that a translation
Yeah,
that I.
well, and they would say, well, they didn't specify in a place of worship. Forsake not the gathering, even if it's in your home. At least gather in your home. That's how they'd argue that. And
Well, if it's a home church, that makes sense. But if the congregation is a couple hundred people, then obviously you're not meeting at a
Yeah.
home, right?
that's
Yeah.
exactly right. That's
Like-
exactly right. And the pastor wasn't there. None of the deacons were in that house that you were meeting in, you know. And it's funny because this same pastor last year was preaching about how the local church, and he was very distinctly talking about the group that gets together in the building and does the thing every
Mhm.
week. He called it the outpost of heaven.
So he surrendered that outpost.
I said,
to the
so
enemy.
when would the outpost of heaven have their doors shuttered?
Yeah.
Voluntarily, not
Yeah.
even being asked to do it.
Yeah, that's sort of like
That's
having
pretty.
That's
weak,
sort of like
man.
having an outpost on the front lines in a war and be like, what is that? What's that, Sergeant? There's enemy over on the other side of the hill.
Yeah.
Pack it up, gents.
Yeah.
We're headed back.
Yeah.
Get on the boats quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly, everyone on the boats. I'm
That's
afraid.
like before the battle starts, you run into the middle of the battlefield, drop your pants, throw your arms up in the air, and say, "I surrender."
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
And you haven't even been asked to bend over yet.
yeah,
but
it's
you
like
just do it willingly.
it's like
Yeah.
French rifle for sale, unfired, dropped once.
I thought it was
you know?
pretty cowardly, really.
Yeah, it's the sign of surrender. You drop to your knees, you throw up your hands.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Oh,
and that was
man.
actually something that Rod Saunders, we talked about on my channel. And he actually did it when it was happening. Pastor John MacArthur.
Yeah.
MacArthur,
Yeah.
Grace Community.
It's in California, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in California, and the state came after him.
Yeah.
And he did not kowtow because he said the
Nice.
Bible. I think he closed for the 2 weeks when they said, 2 weeks. This is
Flatten.
we don't know what's happening.
very
So,
beginning,
yeah,
yeah.
everybody was like, okay, we'll comply. And after that, the narrative started changing. Stuff didn't start making sense. And he said, look, the Bible says, forsake not. We're going to forsake not. We're going to take every precaution, social distance, mask, do whatever, but we are coming together because the Bible says. And
He got some heat.
he got a lot of heat, and very few pastors of different denominations gave him the attaboy, because it's like,
Oh, yeah,
well,
of
we don't
course.
we disagree doctrinally in some things, and
It's
it's
like
like,
RK theory thing we were talking about last.
yes.
Yeah.
What is
Yes.
that? Tell me about that. Tell me about that.
Oh yeah, break that down.
Yeah,
man.
the RK theory is it's a book by this just anonymous conservative. I
Yep.
think is the actual like author, the credited author. So no one really knows, but our buddy Nathan, who sort of got us set up with the Bohemian Grove Mike Hansen interview, clued me in to it, I think. And the RK theory says that there are two types of mammals. There are R-type mammals and K-type mammals. The R-type mammals are the ones who keep their species going by quantity over quality of procreation.
Mhm.
So low investment in their children, lots of them. And if there is a predator who jumps into the mix, then they all just scatter. They don't fight.
Yeah.
They run away. They're prey animals.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the K-type species of mammals are the killers. Your wolves, your lions, your predators.
Yep.
Fewer in number, but they
Smaller
invest.
litters.
Yep, and they invest heavily in their children. Fathers stick around. They train them up better. And they are not shy about being aggressive if they need to attain something for their families,
Mhm.
for their packs,
Mhm.
And the interest. So there's an extrapolation to politics and psychology and everything that can be had from this RK theory. But the interesting thing and how it's germane to the churches, what we're talking about, is one of the aspects of the R species in the RK theory is if a predator comes into the mix, even if everybody runs or doesn't run, doesn't matter. If one of the R species stands up, like a bunny rabbit, and tries to fight the predator, then not only will all of his other fellow bunnies not join in and rally to him, they will, if anything, tear him to pieces and stomp him down and whack-a-mole him into oblivion to keep the predator from being further incensed and enraged. It's either Ants or A Bug's Life. It's one of the two. It's kind of like one of the plot points of that. It's the one with James Woods as the bad guy.
It's A Bug's Life.
A Bug's Life, yeah. So there's that part.
It was Kevin Spacey, actually.
Was it really?
Disney, Kevin Spacey. Anyway, continue.
There you
Sorry.
go.
Sorry.
There you go.
Different rabbit hole.
Kaiser Soze strikes again. You know.
Beep bop wee.
Yep. Wait, is it this one?
It's the horn.
No, it's that one.
next
It's the
one.
wrong one. They're both horns. Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, you know, that movie kind of exemplifies that RK, you know, theory really well in that, like, all the bugs, you know, the second, like, they're like, we can fight these guys. And they're like, no, shut up. No.
Which is funny because
we're going to make the wasp
in,
mad.
in Psalms or Proverbs, it talks about the ant versus the grasshopper.
Yeah.
You know, and when he's saying we need to be like ants because ants don't do that. I mean, who's ever accidentally just kind of just brushed by an ant pile?
Yeah.
They, as one, go full force.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is why we and have to adopt this. This is why we're here. This is why the three of us are here. We're not, well, you know.
And by the way, if you want to see how effective that is, just look at Korea, Iwo Jima, Chosin Reservoir, where they literally ran out of bullets. Like, it's not that they missed. It's not that the bullets didn't hit.
Yeah.
It's that they literally ran out of bullets.
It's, you know, it reminds me to start speaking in movie quotes.
Mhm.
Oh, no. Here we go.
Should do it with script.
Here's Nick right now.
And we say bye-bye.
So what I'm gonna do right here is, you know, he's got a picture of Trump on there. Oh wait, are we gonna get banned if we say the name? He who shall not be named. He really is Voldemort.
Yeah.
The Voldemort.
I know.
But that was one of the things that I really loved that Apollo's trainer Tony says to him in Rocky 2. He says, "Champ, I watched that man get beat like no other man, and the man kept coming after you."
Mm-hmm.
This is what we have. This is the mentality that we have to adopt. We have to adopt this, you know.
Nah, we're too busy. I love watching the the dichotomy between like Chinese and North Korean military recruiting videos, and then ours. Ours are such a bellwether and a canary in the coal mine of like the stage 5 cancer that our country is in.
Yep.
You know, because like
you saw that Russian one, right?
Yeah,
you saw that Russian one?
I've seen the Chinese one. I don't remember the Russian one.
The Russian one was, oh my gosh. I wanted to join the Russian military. I'm like, I want to be that guy.
Yeah. Dude,
You
the
know?
Chinese one, it's probably the same thing as the Chinese one.
Yes,
Oh,
you
dude.
know, I was
Is that
ready,
the one
man.
where he's bench pressing a bear?
Man, they were out
in
there
Siberia?
looking like they were out there coming looking like the FSB. I talked for a Russian accent for 15 minutes after watching that ad.
Yeah.
It was glorious. I said, yes, to Mother Russia. Crush the Americans, crush the West.
Anthony Beltran says that, referring to the balloon debacle.
Oh, yeah.
He says, I was stuck in Dallas, Texas for 2 days. Stuck at the airport. We were told that the ice was pretty thick on the runway, 2.5 inches, or excuse me, half an inch thick. I had to rent a car from Dallas Airport in order to drive back home to Colorado because of that balloon that was carrying an old school satellite. Was that first? It must have been that first.
Must have been
balloon
the
that
first
shot
one.
down over there.
It did look like an old school satellite,
you can
didn't
see
it?
like the solar array, the
Yeah.
solar panel array sticking out to the side.
Mhm.
You must love our military propaganda,
Over Dallas,
comrade.
Texas.
Listen, now for the rest of the interview, I will talk like this because right now in America, we have no balls. We have the balls that fly in the air, but we have no balls.
When we see balls, we shoot them
Gabriel
down.
Zinski Belatova.
You know, and that thing flew over that balloon flew over Memphis, It went all the way across long old skinny Tennessee. It went over Oak Ridge, our nuclear facility up near Knoxville.
Yep, and we have one in Lake Norman, and it flew over They flew over Gastonia, and yes, they flew over a nuclear power plant there in North Carolina, and then was shut down off of our coast. For what purposes do we let this? Do we let these Chinese?
What if it had like some sort of warhead and they dropped on one of our facilities?
Well, so that's actually the thing that I said. Okay, Lord,
What in the world?
I trust you, Lord, no matter how this stuff pans out. But my buddy Rudy Landa, he's a producer at INSP, and I can't remember the name of the book, but there's a book that kind of talks about. It says, it has a really apocalyptic title. I mean, just kind of scary. Not that we're anxious for nothing, believers. So if you got Jesus, don't worry. Just be aware, be watching, right? Watch and pray.
Yeah.
But it talks about basically one of the easiest ways to take out the United States would be to launch to detonate a nuke in this in the upper atmosphere, which would cause an EMP, knocking out our power, and they wouldn't have to do anything, because in 6 months to a year, 90% of the American population would be dead.
Yeah, starve.
Exactly, because they live in the big cities, so they would not have access to clean water. They would not have access to food. Basically, those of us that live out in the country, we'd be fine. But those that live in the big cities, they'd literally eat each other.
Yeah, it's called the 72-hour rule. When I worked at the first gun shop, I worked with a cop from Illinois who told me about that. And he said, like, there is literally a thing they teach you in law enforcement when a disaster strikes called the 72-hour rule. And it is, if you don't get potable water to the, affected area within 72 hours, humans will literally cannibalize each other. Because like, it's either you give blood for your children to drink, or your children die of starvation and dehydration.
Yeah.
Which is it going to be?
Yeah. Well, it's the 3 day. It's the rule of threes.
Yeah.
And you can't go 3 days without hydration. You just can't.
Yeah.
And it's 3 weeks without food.
Yep.
And they say in extreme conditions, 3 hours without shelter.
Yeah.
Which is scary.
So imagine if they did that. If it was a test run for next winter. Okay, because this next winter it'll be election, so you have a transition of power. I mean, I'm not trying to paint a scenario for you, but it's just, this is something we have to just be aware, be prepared. I know it's not well, it is Bible, but it's also Lion King. But
you be prepared long term.
You need to
start with, can we survive 3 days? Do we have 3 days worth of food? Do we have 3 days worth of water? Start there. Don't think about anything else.
Yep.
And then go on from there.
That's why I live in the country.
Then 3 weeks.
Get you some sea seeds. Get you some sea seeds and some water.
Some bullets. And you can't eat bullets, but you can eat the things you shoot.
Well, here's the beautiful thing. Well, yes, you can eat the things that you shoot with them, and you can also trade them.
Yeah. Well,
because at that point, it becomes more valuable than gold. Because you can't eat gold, King Midas.
No.
I like to be generous with my bullet trading. I like to give more than I like to receive.
But at high velocity.
Oh yes,
we're talking about low velocity.
Yeah,
no velocity.
Oh, I'm talking about lightning fast drop delivery.
Yeah.
Did you get a super chat from
Let's
Mike?
see. I don't know. What? I don't know. Did we?
Super chat for $4.99.
Did we get a super chat? From
we get
Mike?
a super chat.
Hold on.
Give him
It
something.
hasn't registered here.
No,
It
not that one.
No. Oh, there it is.
Oh, nice.
Dude, there it is. Yep. Took eyes off the
Mike.
prize.
Thanks,
Mike
man.
Fisher.
Oh.
Dude, thank you for the support. That is awesome. That is awesome.
Who's Mama Bear again? Do we know Mama Bear?
Mama
This thing wasn't
Bear.
running on me.
I have seen Mama Bear on the channel before, and I have communicated with her via the Gosslings email before. She had some awesome emails that she gave us.
She
earlier.
said something about being now black pilled is the there's no hope, everything's going down, right?
Yeah.
The ship is,
Devin Stack,
Devin Stack, yeah.
author of Day of the Rope.
Yeah, let me go back to her comment. So yeah, she said, I'm completely seriously black pilled, so I assume everything is being run by fallen angels now, as in the days of Noah. Well, that may be the case, but it doesn't mean we have no reason to hope, because our hope is not in the systems of men, nor is systems of fallen angels, or the systems of Satan.
That's the thing. I read I read Day of the Rope, and it's it was strikingly a godless scenario. You know,
Oh, yeah.
it leaves out the God factor.
100%, and that's the problem. That we were talking about that last night. That's the problem with the atheistic conservative view.
Yeah.
Is you have no hope. So if you cannot retake the system, if you cannot reclaim these systems of power, there is no hope. So
Yeah.
I mean, might as well just go to hedonism, or go try to find some island to live off while the but we. This is why we have to go back and sing those old church songs, because we used to sing "My hope is built on
That's the
nothing
thing, like,
less."
I am completely out of patience listening to black-pilled libertarians gain their hope from Jordan Peterson and talk about him like he's the only voice worth listening to when it comes to the Bible. Like, I'm so sick of it.
Yeah.
Like, libertarians.
Not that what Jordan Peterson has to say is bad. I mean,
No,
it's really good.
it's good, but it is inadequate.
Yeah, he's not the prophet.
No, and he's
No.
kind of a false prophet in a way, in the sense that he's not a Christian yet. He probably will be. And when he becomes a Christian, the irony is a lot of these godless libertarians who just hang on his every word, and like, it just,
You think they'll follow him?
they'll fall away
They'll follow away.
because
Yeah.
they don't believe in God.
It's anything but
They don't believe in
anything but
God.
Yeah.
Anything but God. They don't believe in God because they think they're so bloody smart.
Yeah.
Yep.
You think you're so smart that Jesus and Christianity is too small for you.
Mhm.
So, and you've got it all figured out, and it's stupid, and you're the only one who's ever suffered. And so you'll listen to Jordan Peterson, who is one of these like greatest minds of our age, but you'll listen to him as a substitute for the one he's talking about in the Bible, because he doesn't preach the gospel. Instead, he preaches. Now, I say this as someone who came out of an age of apostasy and back into the fold, thanks largely to Jordan Peterson, because he talked about the Bible in ways that nobody ever talked about. But it reaches a point where, like, it is serving a group of people who don't want that experience.
Yep.
They don't want to come out of that. And so they, like, I'm so sick
They'll
of
believe.
this.
They'll believe, chew on, digest, absorb, hide in their heart every word of Jordan Peterson until he says, "Jesus is Lord."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he's still a net positive.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
he's
I think
still a
that's
net
it.
positive.
I think that too. Yeah.
I'm very happy, to have him and see him getting closer towards. I think he'll probably actually, break at some point in a good way, But
He's getting there. It's getting past that intellect,
right,
which is difficult for a lot of people.
yeah, you and
know,
I talked about it. I mean,
The childlike faith. Remember, we were talking
Dude.
last night. Share that story about what your dad said.
Oh yeah, Nick, you would probably remember this. A year or two before Dad, maybe a few years before Dad died, we were all out on the patio and we were all talking, and Dad had said, I just want to have a simple faith. And I remember, at least me and BJ argued with him about that. I was going through ordination class at the time, and BJ was like me in that he's, an intellectual. And then we argued with Dad about that. But you know what? Here's the thing.
BJ's our older brother.
Yeah, our eldest brother, BJ, who, could be a practicing attorney if he wanted to.
We're gonna have him
So-
on someday.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. He was in the background of, I think, our first or second.
Yeah, our second one.
Yeah. So anyways, so BJ and I are both intellectuals, but here's the thing. My intellectualization of the Bible directly led to my falling away. So, whom do you serve? Do you serve yourself, or do you serve an ideal higher than yourself? And is that ideal God? Is it the God of the Bible? And you have to figure all those things out for yourself. But man, a great way to do it, it's that Luciferian path, baby. Pride goeth before a fall.
Every time.
Does it count if I say it? Because then I could just drive you to
You can. You can.
liver failure.
Yeah.
You can't have liver failure with apple
Do
juice.
it. Hit it.
Hope you enjoy it.
I almost spit out that time.
But yeah, that's the thing. Like, Dad, and the thing about Dad, was a pastor at one time. Dad did gospel music for half a century. Dad knew more. Dad forgot more about the Bible than all of us combined will ever be able to remember. So to hear a man like that on the back of his life say something like that, we bristled at it because of the impetuousness of our youth, But now, having had considerable time to consider it, he was right.
Yeah.
He was right. Like,
Well,
because
and his simple faith encompassed the all of Scripture.
Yeah.
But it was lived out simply.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's what Jesus said. That's what Yeshua said. He said, "Unless you come to me like one of these."
Yeah.
And it's total
God-like
trust.
faith.
Yeah.
It's total trust. It's total faith. The terms are synonymous, and the rest we try to learn. But if you lose that, if it starts to edge out that trusting, if it starts to edge out that faith, and like, well, I don't understand. Well, you take that on faith, and like, I know you'll. I mean, that was actually one of those things I liked about that the film Joseph and the King of Dreams. It was the follow-up to. So everybody saw The Prince of Egypt.
Oh yeah.
Nobody saw the sequel because it wasn't as good.
I didn't even
It
know
was
there
Joseph
a
and the
sequel.
King of Dreams.
Disney make that?
No, well, the other one was Universal.
Oh, it was Universal.
So yeah, it wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was Universal. But they made a sequel. It wasn't as good. Mark Hamill was Reuben. That's one of the only things I can remember of it. But it had this song that Joseph sings in prison that I've been meaning to cover on my channel because the first time I heard it, it took me to when I was going through chemotherapy.
Oh, wow.
And it's Joseph singing to the Lord, "You know better than I." Do you imagine that?
Wow.
Like, here's this guy,
Yeah.
betrayed by all of his brothers,
Mm-hmm.
sold into slavery,
Yeah.
accused of grape,
Yeah.
falsely accused of, SA,
Mm-hmm.
thrown into prison.
Yeah.
And this is not American prison, y'all. This is ancient Egyptian prison.
Yeah.
And he sings this song, "You Know Better Than I."
It's powerful.
That's faith and trusting.
Yeah.
That, hey, you know what, Lord? Whatever, I trust you. That was Job's attitude.
Yeah.
I always pondered that about Potiphar. I have a feeling Potiphar is always someone that I liked because he saw something in Joseph, and of course God is the one that gave Joseph favor. But I think that Potiphar, when he heard that report from his wife, he probably didn't believe her. He probably knew she was lying, but I bet she made that accusation publicly.
Made a big stink.
And he was in it. He knew he had to put Joseph in prison.
Yeah.
Because of his reputation.
Absolutely.
Because of his lying ass hussy.
She didn't say it. She didn't say it in private. Yeah.
He needed
That's speculation, but
he needed Anthony Mackie to come around and give him some marital advice.
You give Daddy a sandwich.
Yeah. Make me some lemonade. Daddy a sandwich.
Oh man, the chat is going crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, yeah. Let's do a
You
chat
guys.
recap real quick because I know there have been a bunch
We
of
need to
awesome
go.
stuff in here.
Fortune cookie laced with COVID inside the balloon.
We're- I can go back pretty far here, guys. How far back should I go?
Let's see.
Go back to the start of the super chat that Mike gave us.
All right, we'll go back up to super chat.
Yeah.
I'm still scrolling.
Still scrolling. And we know that some of this
There we
is
go.
like conversation between you guys. So,
Let's see here.
and thank you, by the way, Mike, for the super chat. Like, you guys don't know, everybody who becomes a patron, everybody who gives us a super chat, like all of that money helps go towards bettering the equipment of the show.
Yep.
And eventually, if we can reach a point where Nick and I can have more time to do this, then like we could make this a much bigger, like more full-time thing of our lives.
Yep.
So like every little bit like helps us get there. So
Yep.
thank you.
Yeah,
It's
it'll be a
awesome.
better experience for you guys. We'll be able to have, great guests on more frequently.
Yeah.
And yeah. So it's a huge support. We really
Psych, we
appreciate
just
it.
want a G5.
A G5.
Gabe and I were talking about
Again,
I wanted to
it
go to the
is the
Grammys.
legend.
do it.
Do it. Give me some Dune.
Again, it is the legend.
What's it doing?
I'm telling you, that's gotta be Nick's phrase. No, Gabe and I were talking about finances in the church and how a lot of people, crack down. We crack down on the mega church people, for all their wealth, but it's also like, but like Tim Cass, kind of talked about how like you kind of just can't have money sitting in the bank. You have to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
So like kind of what do you do with it exactly.
Can you summon one? Are your kids still up? Actually,
I think they're in bed.
oh, are they?
Yeah.
Is your wife still up?
Possibly.
Can you text her? Because I actually have something for you guys.
Oh.
It's in my car,
Oh, nice.
and I forgot. I thought I brought it in, and I think I grabbed it, but then when I moved
You
my
can
truck,
get it if you want.
Go get it so we can.
I'm gonna go get it.
Yeah,
gotta
we'll
get
catch
caught
up.
up in
Y'all
we'll
catch up on the chats. I'll be
right.
BRB.
All right. I'm gonna while you're doing that, Mike says we were talking about if a nuclear warhead was detonated, above the country, it would create an EMP.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Fisher actually has a product called EMP
Yes.
Shield on all of his vehicles,
Mhm.
his house, his solar, and his generator.
Yeah.
Mike sounds like he's like ready
Yeah.
for stuff.
Yeah. Mike is like definitely one of the dudes you want to have around.
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
when it hits the fan.
Yeah, we need to learn more about that product. Is it Mike? I don't know. Is that your product? Is that something that is it like Giordani Jovanovic? Is that something that you represent?
I think Mike represents it. We had talked about it originally when we were talking about the in-kind sponsorship with Giordani Jovanovic.
Yeah.
And Mike, I know you sent some information about EMP Shield. I know there's an Instagram for it. Post the link for the Instagram for that in the chat, or if EMP Shield has a website. Because it's definitely something that's worth taking into consideration.
The other day, I have this behind you. There's a little gold-looking box on those books. It's just a little folding case. It's empty inside.
Oh yeah.
But I
Your Faraday
lined.
cage.
It's a Faraday cage.
Yeah.
I turned it into a Faraday cage. I lined the inside of it with foil.
Nice.
And or no, not foil. It was like metallic tape.
Okay.
And my daughter came in, even came in and said, "Daddy, what's that cool looking case?" And I opened it up and I put my cell phone in it, shut it, and I said, "Grab Mom's phone and call me." And she called, and my phone was in this case, and it wouldn't ring, it wouldn't receive any messages or anything. I said,
That's awesome.
"It's a Faraday cage. It's a Faraday cage. Put your electronics in there, and if power goes out, if everything gets zapped, that'll be safe. Or if you just want to make sure you don't get any calls while you're working, you
right.
throw it in there."
Yeah.
But it was really easy to make.
Yeah.
And it's basically a very tiny, cheap, homemade, jerry-rigged version of an EMP shield.
Mm-hmm.
I should throw my phone in there every night,
And every day.
or get a flip phone. Hey, I was actually talking to a guy. You know how we joke about homing pigeons, or training falcons to deliver messages.
Carrier ravens, carrier cardinals.
Dude,
We'd have to do cardinals. 'cause
Dude,
it's the
you will
Gosslings.
not. I know you will not believe this. There's a dude at work who knows a guy who does that. He trains birds to do that.
Can he train crows?
I don't know.
Because
He's been working on pigeons,
Dude,
Yeah.
crows and magpies. What are they?
Corvids.
Corvids. Thank
Corvids,
you.
Yeah.
Smart as 7-year-olds or 11-year-olds? It's kind of scary how
Depends
smart
on
they
the
are.
11-year-old.
Yeah, the fact that they're training the wolves.
Definitely as smart as me at 11.
The Corvids are training the wolves in Alaska and in Yellowstone. Like we're gonna have the battle of the 5 armies, man. I'm telling you, like that battle in Revelation is gonna be bonkers.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the crows.
Yeah.
The Antichrist is gonna bring in the crows into that battle.
There was I took a precision rifle course a few years ago from Frank Galley of Sniper's Hide, and Frank Galley lives in Colorado, and he said that he said one time at his house there was like a family of crows where, long story short, like the wife ended up taking care of like a couple crow chicks, and nursed them back to health or whatever, and they flew off, and the mom came and got them or whatever, and everything was fine. And then the crows, as thanks, I don't think he's lying about this, because it's too weird to be made up. The crows started bringing them loose change, shiny objects, but they started, but then like somehow they communicated to each other that like the quarters and the dimes and the nickels were like what they really liked, as far as the like what he and his wife really liked, and so the crows started bringing them that.
That's awesome.
Sounds like a Batman villain from the 60s. That dude, that's totally the Penguin, actually, the old school Penguin.
Yeah. Danny DeVito.
No, that was the Tim
Tim Burton.
yeah, Tim Burton
Tim
version.
Burton,
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the Burgess Meredith. But we're back to Rocky. See, I can bring it all back to Rocky.
Here we go. The movie quotes.
Yeah,
Here
but
we
you were talking about money. And actually, because it's an uphill battle. What we're doing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is
It's against the current.
100%, because you have many, and this is actually something that people talk about all the time. It's like many of the strongest conservative voices are people that are just trying to be rational.
Yep.
It's God's not in the picture, and if they are talking from a spiritual, religious standpoint, or even Christian standpoint, like Rod was talking in the comments, they're kind of goofy. They're out there in the, hey, I'm hearing from God every 12 seconds, and this person's going to get elected, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. It's like, can we just get somebody like with some balance?
Yeah.
And I thought about you guys with this because, this is from Pastor Alan DiDio from Encounter Church, which Rod knows, and some of you guys in the comments might know. This is a teaching he did on money.
Really?
And this is the best teaching I've ever heard on what biblical prosperity is and isn't.
Really?
And has transformed my life.
Really? Oh, that's
transformed my life and my finances.
Yeah.
And making me go from a debtor to an owner.
Nice.
And I'm almost there. I'm almost there. So I want you guys to
thank you, brother.
Listen to that.
Awesome.
And if you guys, I'll maybe drop it in the comments later, but check this out. It's called Fish Come First. This will change your life. And let me tell you, believers, we need finances. You need finances to make stuff happen. We can't just sit and pray all day and expect God to just to have for the crows to just bring you the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, this is awesome, dude. Thank you.
That's
very
true.
Cool.
Let me take a look at it.
Transform your life.
Christ Church.
And I've watched it happen with his ministry, with less than 100 people that you can even get in the building. And they're now knocking on the door of 300 subscribers on YouTube. And it's not about
300?
the numbers. 300,000 subscribers.
300,000.
Near 300,000 subscribers.
100 member church.
Less than 100 member church.
Wow.
You can't get 100 people in the sanctuary. And
sounds like John Holler's church.
It's John Holler's church. Yeah.
And I think they've crossed over 100,000 on TikTok.
Jeez.
And people are getting saved. People are asking questions. People are learning. People are getting discipled.
Yeah.
I mean, they're ministering to people.
That's awesome.
They're ministering to people.
So great, man. Wow.
And I think there's.
Where are they at?
They're in Red Cross, North Carolina, out there in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
About 45 minutes from Charlotte.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Man, thank you.
Very cool, man. That's awesome.
Gabe's like, I'm gonna give you this DVD because I'm sick of trying to get you guys to understand.
It's knowledge. Well, that's when you guys were at the was it 600 or 700 subscriber point?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're talking about blowing up the channel and starting over, and I was like, man, and this is why we need each other, not just us here, but you guys here in the chat.
Yeah.
Ice Queen, Mama Bear, Chris Caps, Rod Saunders of Jew and Greek, my mom.
Colin's watching.
Yeah.
Pastor Disaster says I need money to manage.
Yeah, amen to that.
Colin McIntosh, is Colin McIntosh in there?
Yeah, Colin
Dude,
McIntosh.
Colin, I watched your Colin McIntosh has a cool channel, and he has a video on dissecting the Wizard of Oz, and it's
Did you watch it?
I watched both versions. The first version's good, but he has a second version where he goes almost scene by scene. I think he does go scene by scene. It's like a 45-minute video. I watched it after you left today. And dude, it was good. I liked it. Colin, that's a cool video, man. I think you got something really special going on there. That was neat.
I'm about to check that out because he was talking about
Colin
that.
McIntosh's YouTube channel.
Yeah, Colin, drop the link in the chat for people to watch.
Yeah, he was talking about that on one of the streams a couple weeks ago, wasn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of spookiness in there.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like he has an understanding of Masonic symbology. He has understanding of like the meanings of all the different names. He even refers to I wanted to say the Oompa Loompas, but the
Munchkins.
The Munchkins.
Yep.
He calls, like what you were talking about earlier, he refers to the Munchkins as basically the citizens of heaven because they're childlike.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's a cool video.
I've
never heard anybody talk about that.
But there must have been some like serious spiritual warfare going on when they were making that film.
Oh yeah,
because I don't know if he claims all those things were intentional, or if it was just kind of ordained to, have that end result. But didn't one of the Munchkin actors commit suicide on set during that movie? There's that lore around the making of the Wizard of Oz.
they say yes, some say no, but you can clearly see what looks like someone hanging, swinging in the background, which is why having analog media is so important, because as Disney is doing, as a lot of these streaming websites are doing, they're scrubbing, they're changing, they're Mandela affecting us, and they're like, oh no, you
they
didn't
don't even
see
need
that.
CERN to do it.
No, they don't. No, they just they put everything digital, so anything and everything can be changed.
If you know how to, I don't know how to do it. If you can give Colin a wrench, he can post the link.
Oh,
in and Colin, we might not be able to do that because we're doing this through Restream.
you know what?
Yeah, he can just put it in the normal comments instead of the chat. Just put it in the comments of the actual
post it in the comments
of the video instead of in the live chat, and then you can do that, no problem.
Sorry, Colin.
And that way it's there where everybody can see it, because if you put it in the live chat, nobody's going to see it.
It's a little bit more
No,
ephemeral.
right, unless they're
in the
watching
live
that
chat.
particular part of it. Like,
Yeah,
that's
post it
right,
in the. Everyone, check out the actual comments of this video for Colin McIntosh's video on the Wizard of Oz. It's very fascinating and detailed. It's very Jay Dyer-esque.
Yeah, Ice Queen says that was a very weird movie, anyways, and it really was. I didn't, even when I was a kid, it seemed there was like a darkness behind everything.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yep,
kind of a spiritually heavy.
Yeah, it is.
Feeling.
It's loaded. It's loaded with something. It's loaded with there's
a dark energy to it.
Yeah.
What else? What all the topics? So we had the spy.
Yeah, so we talked about spy balloons. We want to talk about the Grammys, and I want to talk about AI. I think we should start with the Grammys.
Okay,
let's start with the Grammys. Did you watch the whole performance?
I have only seen little itty bitty clips, and I only watched the only thing that I understand that was really worth watching was the Stevie Wonder's Chris Stapleton performance of Higher Ground, but I've only seen 5 seconds of it. Which obviously Stevie, I know how great Stevie is. I have a Stevie tribute show, and Chris Stapleton is an amazing music artist, but I have not. The last Grammys that I watched all the way through, Paul McCartney, Sting, Stevie, and Paul McCartney did this newer song called My Valentine. That was 2011, I think, somewhere between 2011 and 2014. That's almost a decade. Wow. Because once I want to say it was either Katy Perry or Nicki Minaj. I think it was Katy Perry did Dark Horse, and it was a witch's coven, witch's Sabbath. It was some kind of an actual witchcraft, an actual ritual that was performed on stage that I kind of caught after the fact.
Yep.
I was like, yeah, no, because the almost all the performances are pre-recorded, so they're not live.
Yeah.
I think the year after that Paul McCartney one, Adele was performing, and she stopped the song in the middle of it because she's like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Full orchestra.
Wow.
They're actually performing live, and the whole thing stops it's as you've had music lessons. You never ever. No, that is the first rule in a performance is you go no matter what. And she stopped on national television. I'm like, how unprofessional that you just keep going. You take your ears out. You just do, you fake it till you make it, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And she's just like, so I was like, you know what, man? Not only are most of these people on here hacks, they're not even real musicians. Most
talentless
of them,
hacks.
They're just propped up. You have people writing. So they have people that are writing the songs, producing the songs. They have people that actually sing the songs. Christina Milian talks about doing the vocals for Jennifer Lopez and many other top A-list music artists, and then they'll come and kind of sing, and they'll blend the two together so it sounds like so they're not actually singing. And so I'm like, why are we giving these people awards
and the Academy Awards and the Grammys?
100%.
Every year they get fewer and fewer views every year
because it's garbage.
Fewer and fewer people are watching it. And that makes me think that the rationalist side of me wants to think that Sam Smith and this wicked performance of his song Unholy was just done for no other reason,
get people talking,
than for publicity, so that people would watch it, whether live or after the fact. Really,
it's a nice double whammy because they get whatever ritual they wanted to get out of it, which there very easily could have been, but at the very least, they also get all publicity. The exposure.
It's a Donald
You know?
Trump type move.
It
know,
is, yeah. It's
Negative
very,
press is still press.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. It's
But why would you choose that of all things to get?
Right,
You
why
know,
that?
Because I'll tell you why. Because it is a mockery
Hmm?
of the most widely held religion in the country.
yeah.
And it's going to get the most publicity.
Well, the only true.
Well, it's the only true religion. Yeah, it is. for sure.
alaikum.
Because
But
they
nothing-
don't. Yeah,
There's nothing
yeah.
that's going to be more offensive to the majority of Americans. Than
Yep.
that.
I'll be very surprised when they go out there and do something that's mocking Muhammad. You know, that somebody goes out there dressed as, Shiva. You know, I mean, even though we
Yeah.
have Shiva in front of CERN, but they're not going to go over there and like, I'm going to be
Yeah.
the goddess of death or the
No,
goddess of
because then
destruction.
that's racist.
That's racist. Yeah.
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 And,
Christianity
it's
is
bigoted.
We're not
is
going to
a-
mock Muhammad.
No, Christianity is white devil. White devil religion. So
Yeah, so
that's-
white European religion, even
Yeah.
though it came from the Middle East.
So that's the one you got to stamp out and make fun of, and it's the only one you can make fun of.
Well, like I was saying, that's the rational side of me. When I first saw it, I didn't react out of the rational side of my brain.
Gotta love
I
ranting.
thought,
That's
this
right,
is a
Victor.
satanic ritual that they're doing,
Mhm.
live on stage. This is blatantly satanic.
I-
I mean, it's beyond on the nose.
Oh yeah, it's. I don't know what you guys are authors. What's beyond obvious? Is there another word that's beyond obvious?
Better word than obvious.
I
Captain
don't know.
Obvious, Super Obvious, Mega Super Zord.
If I were a climate change advocate, I'd say existential.
How dare you?
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Blatant, gratuitous.
yeah, it's.
Gratuitous is a good one.
Well, so there's the channel.
Gauche.
I don't know. Do you guys ever see the thing? I was doing the Kanye West stuff. The Gospel Chops guy. So Gospel Chops is a channel for musicians, for mostly black gospel musicians. He's been in there for a long time, just kind of showcasing church music, and he's transitioned. I don't know how long ago to doing commentary, and he did a commentary on it that was excellent because he said, "Listen, we know that so this is kind of like the zeitgeist version of what we think the devil looks like. He doesn't look like this. The Bible says he's beautiful.
Yeah."
He comes as an angel of light, but yet they continue to perpetrate him as this way because that's what we think he looks like. So why would you even do that? Number one, but you guys would really appreciate it. And I was like, man, I have to grow my platform to a position to where I can have a conversation with this guy, because as a black church musician, he said, this is what they think the devil looks like. This is what I think the devil looks like. And he flashed a picture of Joe Biden.
Oh man,
I was like, ooh,
the former vice president himself.
I am not alone. He is here with me. Show me the high, some of the pressure. Joe Biden's he don't got the Holy Ghost. He got some kind of spirit. He's got the bat of calf care
Did I
spirit.
tell you the other
Get that
day, my
devil
daughter says, "Dad, I have 2 words for you. Made in America." My 11-year-old daughter, she gets me.
Yeah.
And then she smiled.
But he was talking about, and there was some baiting that Kirk Franklin actually did, because he said, about the Grammys, and everybody came out there talking. So apparently Maverick City, and listen, I'm trying to get myself back acquainted to what's actually going on in church music, because I've been so disgusted by the it was disgusted, bored, just have very little positive feelings, and it's part of it is elitism that comes with being classically trained and jazz trained. Jazz musicians have an elitist. It's not right. It's wrong. I've looked down on musicians from other genres because I'm like, well, that music's easy.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't mean it doesn't have value. So I'm trying to fix that, but it's very difficult when everything sounds the same, and we're trying to be like the world. We're trying to make music that sounds like the world. We're trying to dress like the world. We want to be friends with the world, which is explicitly what Yeshua said not to be.
Yeah.
And the world hates it too, because it just makes them drift farther and farther away. Next thing you know, they're dressed in red devil hat, top hat, horns, and performing rituals.
Or the world has contempt
They have to.
for you.
They do, and they want to.
They don't want you to entreat with them. I mean, they act like they do, but it is a zero-sum game.
And they point their finger at you if you do, and say you're no different. We're supposed to be different. They know that.
We are.
We know that, but we want to be like, we want to look like
Well,
them.
because we want to be friends, we want to be popular.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing was, they were expecting Kirk Franklin to kind of call out because Maverick City was there to perform some song with some rapper about some other rapper that died. And then they also, and this is kind of the weird thing that, and I actually watched Ruslan's take on it because, like I said, I didn't watch the Grammys.
Yeah.
And while I don't care because it's just a popularity contest at this point, it's not about talent, it's not about music. Because it is relevant culturally speaking, I'm like, okay, I got to start paying attention, you know, because this is my field. You know, like if I'm paying attention to what's going on in politics, which I really don't delve in, I should kind of stay in my wheelhouse and know what's going on in this world. But they were expecting Kirk Franklin to come out and be like, yeah, when they saw that performance, they should have walked out. And he didn't. He was like, you know, I'm not here to talk about that. You know, we argue about doctrine. We argue about it. And it was like, yeah, I hear you. But at what point is it? At what point is it too much?
Yeah, you got to take a
here
stand at some point.
And here we are. We're watching literally. This is Satanism.
Yeah.
And we are to engage with this.
Right.
Yeah.
At what point do you deus
At what point do you go up there and do you cast the devil out of people? You know, I mean, at what point do you not go on stage and cast the devil out of people or proclaim the name of Jesus? But no, we just want to get our award. We need to, you know, well, we're in the world, not of the world. It's like, bro, you don't need an award for that. Actually, who was it? I have to read you this statement. This was he's a pretty well-known smooth jazz artist. His name is Darren Ron. And I actually saved this just for y'all because I was going to do a commentary on it. I said, you know what? I'm going to save this for when I'm on this. So I want you to read. This is in his bio, okay? He's a multi-Grammy nominated producer, mix engineer, saxophonist, many #1 Billboard hits, husband, father, follower of Jesus Christ. This is what he has in his Twitter profile. But it's smooth jazz, so, you know, people are like, well, who cares? Because he's not famous. Right. It ain't about being famous. It's about making good music and using your gifts for the glory of God.
Yeah.
He said, my Grammy thoughts. 20 years ago, I was recommended to membership in the Recording Academy by a dear friend and business associate. And this is a little long, so bear with me, please. Okay. A proud day for sure. I have been a voting member since until now. Now, 2 decades later, I see a different landscape in our industry. There has been a lot of chatter this week about what occurred this weekend. Well, my friends, those who are voting members, you have a choice. I haven't watched the last several year Grammy shows because it has become clear to me that it is no longer a celebration of the best music, but rather a popularity contest fueled by devotion that is quite frankly destroys the human soul.
Yep.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay, not all of it, but most of it. Watching makes me feel dirty and unclean and quite frankly, unholy. And this year was not the first. I have felt this for some time. I decided recently that in spite of my lifelong career goal to win a Grammy, I would stop giving money and support a foundation which is misappropriating those resources to push an agenda that is not about the best music. So he's being a professional. It's like, this is not about pushing a satanic agenda or, you know, it being Luciferian, which it is.
Does he name the foundation?
Huh?
Does he name the foundation?
Oh yeah, well it's the Recording Academy.
Okay.
So, which you have to be a member of to vote for Grammys.
Okay.
Yeah. So he said, I have watched talented friends put out the best and go unrewarded, while others flash secret hand signs in allegiance to that which is unholy and receive the gold statue that they can worship daily. Bottom line, legacy isn't about a statue. True legacy comes from quality and from purity of heart in living out our God-given purpose. It's only got 2 more slides. Music is a gift from God above. It's the only thing in the earth not made in the earth. The one and only. I got to throw that in there every time I talk about it. What do you talk about, Gabe? Go to my channel and find out. Somebody threw a super. Oh, Chris. Thank you for the super chat. Blessing my brothers.
Thanks,
Chris,
nice.
thanks, dude. Hey, let's give him the horn.
Yeah.
Chris Caps, $5. Let's put his comment up here too. Let's see here.
Yeah. So I'm going to finish that while you're pulling it up.
Yep.
Music is a gift from God above, the one and only sovereign God of the universe, who is God of all, and not from the God of this world. He put small g there, who comes from below, seeking to kill, steal, and destroy that which was intended for good, which is what music is supposed to be.
Yep.
I guess all of this is to say, if you don't like what you're seeing, you don't have to pay that membership fee.
Yeah.
So he's calling for musicians that are professionals
to walk away.
to pull your stuff, pull out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in paying that due, just realize what it is exactly that you are supporting. I've paid my dues literally and figuratively for decades and have reached a point where I can see it clearly now.
Yeah.
I'm beyond blessed to make music for the known and unknown. And in the end, I need no golden statue to validate myself.
That's right.
Amen, bro.
Nice.
If I were to ever be awarded a Grammy for work I do for someone else, I might prayerfully consider standing as light in front of the darkness and giving thanks to Jesus Christ, who is the hope of humanity. But the earthly reward no longer fuels my endeavors. It is refreshing and freeing to release myself from paying those dues. God, capital G, the one and only, the OG, bless you, my friends. Darren Ron.
Nice. Man, strong.
I'm sharing that again.
Strong. That's so strong. Chris says, all these platforms and genre, the devil creeps and lurks to steal and poison each one, as many as he can. It is his tactic to reach the younger first. Boy, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. And you know what's interesting about Sam Smith? I went on YouTube and I said, you know what? I'm going to see if I can just find the whole performance. I couldn't find the whole performance without it being a reaction video and someone commenting on it.
Yeah.
You can't find just the performance.
Yeah.
But I did see all of his shorts that he's done recently. And I didn't realize that he was like like a figurehead advocate for transgenderism in the UK. I didn't know that. I didn't know anything about him until that song "Stay With Me."
The Baphomet.
I loved that song. I didn't know that was him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then I'm like, who is this guy? I've never, I see Sam Smith doing this performance of Unholy. I'm like, this is like wicked. Where did this guy come from? This is awful. And so I'm looking at all this and I see this background, this transgender background, and it made sense. It made me think of, the Baphomet.
And I don't know if when he came out, he had come out as gay. I think when he came out, it was just like, here's this white R&B singer from the UK.
Yeah.
And then everything else kind of happened and came out because, you got to do something to stay on top.
Right.
You
fold the layers.
That's it. Well, hey, I think, they pitch it to people and say, that's like, I think I told you guys on a phone call about one of those gangster rappers they came to this gangster rap group. I think it was Bone Thugs and Harmony, actually. And it was one of the guys from the private prison system. They wanted to back the group because they knew their music would in fact encourage more black males to live a lifestyle that would put them in jail, which would make them more money. So they were actually offering them stock if they would keep on doing what they're doing. And he said and that's kind of why that group disappeared, because they were like, we are literally funding the destruction of our people in our community.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. My first manager in the music industry was actually the one that discovered and put them on the map. He's got, he has so many gold and platinum records that he's promoted. He loaned me several for almost a decade to show in my studio to like, hey man, you're this good. You need to show that you're legitimate. Here's some gold platinum records. Put them up.
Does he got any YouTube buttons?
No, he's too old. He's too old for, but he told me one day, because the reason he started working with me because he had recently been saved and he wanted to work with a real Christian. After looking through my stuff, he's like, you're a real Christian. And it was funny working with me. He's like, you're real. He's like, well, I don't understand why you do this. I was like, because I'm actually a Christian. I don't say I am and act a different, like I am. Right. But he said, man, it was just one day. He said, yeah, some days I just don't even know if I want to help you, get in this game. I said, why do you say that? He said, well, because the music industry is owned by the devil and run by the mob.
Mm-hmm.
The music industry is owned by the devil. Watch the Grammys. Consider what Darren Ron just wrote. And operated by the mob. It is a mafia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions about that, look what they did to Michael Jackson. Look what they did to Prince. Look what they did to Sam Cooke. The list goes on and on.
Scary.
Let me tell you, they are about punning. They're about money.
At some point, there's a gatekeeper,
Yes.
and you got to sell your soul to get past it.
If you want fame, you can make a living and make good music. But if you want fame, if you want notoriety, and I'm glad that's what resonated with me, and that I believe is what these Christian artists. Why in the world are you even going and engaging in this nonsense?
Yeah.
Why would you if you know, because they know the program, they're there in sound check, they see who's on the roster.
Yep.
We're sorry, we can't be a part of this.
Yep.
Yeah.
We respectfully decline. You can mail our award. I mean, because when was the last time you saw a Christian on the Grammys? The 80s? Maybe the 90s?
Maybe the 90s.
For sure.
And I
Amy
don't,
Grant,
and
Michael W. Smith.
but actually perform on the Grammys.
Oh, perform. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I don't. I never
Actually
saw it.
perform. I mean, somebody that's a Christian, Christian artist. Not, I'm a Christian, but
Not
I
unless it was
believe in
I don't
Easy
know because I
talk.
never watch it.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Not since I've been old enough to be doing this as for a living.
Yeah.
I understand why people get on the internet and call into question these people's salvation.
Yeah.
Because of the association. That was the whole point. That was the purpose of the Torah. He wanted to look, you need to act this way to separate yourself so
apart.
you can
You gotta
be
be set apart.
identifiably different.
Yeah. That's what holy means.
Set apart.
Yep.
Exactly. That's exactly. And they're saying we're unholy.
That's exactly it.
We're the complete
exactly it.
opposite.
Yep.
How much more satanic can you be?
I don't
Do
know.
as thou wilt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do as thou wilt.
Yeah.
It is the opposite of what the Bible
Yeah,
says.
did you see that? It was a tweet that was taken down after the fact.
Oh,
But,
the
remember
CBS?
CBS tweets.
They're ready to worship.
Yeah, we're
Wow.
ready to worship
Wow.
right before the performance, and then Sam Smith does his performance. They cut to commercial. First sponsored.
Brought to you by
Pfizer. Brought to you by Pfizer.
nothing to see here.
Jeez.
Move along.
Mhm.
Move along.
Boy, if that doesn't, it tells you everything you need to know.
There's nothing going on here, Nick.
Hey, by the way, James is watching. You see that?
Which James?
Coulter.
James Coulter.
James sings.
Bro. Oh, he's on Facebook.
Yeah, he's watching through Facebook. Awesome.
This is why we got it. Do you guys have this connected to your Facebook?
I do. Yeah,
Okay, good.
I do. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So glad he dropped in. So good to
James,
see
I
his
haven't
name
I
and his
haven't
face
forgot
pop
to
up
mail you
there.
those microphones. They're on. They're ready to go. I just haven't been able to get to the post office, but they're coming. So
Dude,
I
I'm
didn't
the
forget
same
about
way-
you.
I'm the same way with Mike and like a bunch of books. I have all the books like literally sitting in the back of my truck for like a week and a half now, and I'm like every time I knew there was something else I was supposed to do today. Every time. But Mike is very kind. He's very gracious. So
We're about an hour and a half into this stream, and I think it'd be a good transition to, since we're talking about music, and you're talking about crappy music and a lot of music we find in churches, we should transition to AI.
AI. Yep, because it's making music now.
It is
It's
making-
writing songs.
Yeah.
It's,
Tell us about some of the music you've encountered that's been made by AI.
on Spotify. I do not. This is partial speculation.
Okay.
But I have enough evidence that I could make a case in court. I don't know if it would be a strong case, but basically Spotify, for those that don't know, so once again, they've become a mafia. They become a mafia, and they steal streams from legitimate artists and give it to others. Okay, but there's lots of their curated playlists, which they pick and are featured and are pushed to the listeners, to those that are paying their free the free for the advertisements, so they're paying the $10 a month.
Yeah.
That have artists that are completely fictional. Okay, so you'll go to a genre and there'll be artists, there'll be a playlist of 10-20 songs,
Yeah.
and in that 10-20 songs there'll be like 2 actual artists in there, and the other
Wow.
ones are Spotify created, like they're just fictional,
Just
they're
AI.
fictitious.
Yeah.
And the speculation is there's some producers that they think, like Spotify has hired producers to make this stuff, but I believe that because this AI within DAW, which is a digital audio workstation, which is what the software, like if you watch my streams and I'm working in the software, that's a DAW.
Okay.
That for maybe 4 to 5 years now, you could basically pull up a plugin that will create a chord sequence.
Yeah.
Okay. So it'll, I don't know. I need some inspiration. So rather than work, you can just tell the computer, hey, spit out a chord progression at me.
Sure.
And I'll write a song based off that chord progression. Well, now it can not just do that. It can put the whole thing together.
Yep.
So you can put, okay, let me put a chord progression up there and pick some sounds. Now I can pick a drum thing, do the same thing, pick a bass thing. It'll follow the same thing. And now with ChatGPT, write a song about love in the genre and style of R&B, like Motown in the 60s.
Yeah.
Brrr. Take those lyrics. I mean, I have the software with a choir and vocalists. You can you can put those words in, type it, have the melody, and you can have it create a melody for you.
Yep.
And this is not even the sophisticated stuff that they have. I'm just saying the stuff that I have that I have the capability to use. And there you go. You have a whole song. Completely computer generated.
Yep.
I just have to take the ingredients and put them together.
Yeah.
But the thing that they have now is they're creating software where I don't even have to do all the things of picking the elements. You can just tell it, make a love song in the style of Motown 60s with a little sprinkle of this and this and that.
Yep.
And it'll do the whole thing.
Yep.
So I'm seeing it a lot in some of these genres where people just kind of put the music to play in the background, like lo-fi, some lo-fi jazz, spa music. But it's starting to creep into other genres because music has become just this worthless commodity that people, they're not really listening or they don't really care. So and I know you were talking about, kind of your trepidations and anxiety with it. Well, not anxiety, but just your concern.
I have a lot of concerns.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a lot of concerns. I think that ChatGPT and other AIs like it are going to be as destructive to the arts and the industries built around the arts, especially literature, just as destructive as the internet was to the music business.
Oh, yeah.
Because up until that point, it was booming. But the internet came along, and all of a sudden, it was really easy to share, and pirate and steal, and it decimated
100%
the music industry. I keep going to ChatGPT because it's the one I'm most familiar with. It's the most popular one right now.
Yeah, it's what most people are talking about.
Yeah, but it's going to be the same thing with writers. I mean, the blog is dead. Forget the blog.
Mm-hmm.
That's all going to be automated now. But writing. Let's just talk about the world of publishing. You have fiction and nonfiction. The nonfiction, it's going to be all AI. That entire half of that industry is going to be all AI. Yeah. So,
which is scary because the people that are curating for this AI, I mean, it's so left leaning. It's so left leaning. If you're not going to take any of the other side of when you're discussing history, we're only going to talk about these sources. We're not going to look at these sources. Yeah. You get a very one-sided view. So that's incredibly concerning. Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess it's kind of what you have in the modern day universities anyway, because, I mean, what balance do you have in the universities or in education unless you homeschool or have private?
Yeah. Now, Orwell would be spinning in his grave. I mean, you won't even need...
He'd be saying, I told you so.
But it would be worse. Like, you won't even have the ability for people to argue with other people about what history is. Like, right now, you can go to Leather Apron Club's YouTube channel and you can find out the truth about the Greeks, or you can find out what really went on with this war, that war, if you reach out, if you dig for it, and you can see how we've been lied to about a great many things in our history. But once AI has total dominion, like Nick and I were talking about yesterday, like you and I were talking about this morning, who can make war with the beast? I mean, it's game over, man.
It's
game over.
It is game over in a lot of ways. I mean, you think about just ChatGPT,
which is why we should return to the Sulaco and nuke it from orbit.
And ChatGPT has been used by thousands of college students to write their papers for them.
Yeah.
To pass their exams.
Mm-hmm.
And Jordan Peterson once he was one of the first ones to talk about that. He's like,
he called it out.
Yeah, college is done. He's like, it's done.
Yeah, but it is done, and it shows you just how worthless that whole system is, how pointless it is, especially now. But you think in the future, why do you need a professor?
Oh yeah, they were saying that today.
An AI can teach the course, an AI can grade the papers.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And even in the arts, like Ice Queen is talking about how she's a painter, and AI can paint now too.
Mm-hmm.
And all forms of art can be cloned. And and the interesting thing here's the noteworthy thing, because it's both interesting and scary to me about that, Ice Queen. AI paintings have a hard time with hands.
Isn't that interesting?
Just like real human painters have a hard time when they get started. You remember the old what was his name? Mark Liefeld comic book cover. Like none of the covers had feet.
Yeah,
he can never do legs.
He was the creator of Deadpool.
Yeah, and like that's a thing. It's a limitation of like early artists.
Yep.
But now we have to say like early human artists.
Yeah.
So clearly the AI is on a path, and like every time you talk to ChatGPT, every time you interact with that thing, every time you use these things, it's all feeding into at least one, if not probably 5 or 6 data hubs, like what those big server farms, like what they built out in Utah like 13 years ago or 10 years ago.
I feel like you should continue the statement with the Arnold voice, because we're turning into the Terminator now. In August 24th of 2023, Skynet went live and became sentient.
So good at that.
They built a data hub out in Utah.
Yes.
Everything
It's
is automated and
it's
coordinated.
literally when he said Utah, I was like, Arnold.
There.
Everything was like
Everything
Terminator.
gets amalgamated.
He's like, I just need you to put on one black leather glove on this hand and sit here and do it everything deadpan.
No, I want you to listen to me very carefully.
Listen to me, Kelly.
So
I'm going to talk slowly. Listen to me fastly.
No, I want to.
I'm
here
guys
to pump
you up. I want you guys to continue talking about this while
you go pee-pee?
Yeah, I'm gonna go pee-pee.
There you
Got
go.
some pee-pee in your teepee?
I do. I got a tiny little acorn bladder.
Well, and you were talking about art.
Nick's got a little roasted.
We got you
potato
covered.
bladder.
45 years old. Give me a break.
You were talking about art, and that actually was a legitimate concern that popped up in the artists, because I follow a bunch of comic book artists on Instagram and on Facebook.
Yeah.
Friends with a couple, and they were talking about that this is and it was funny because I felt bad for them. They were like, we're getting robbed, because they're literally taking our art and feeding it to AI and all these graphic little apps or say, hey, pay $10 or $30 and you can have it in all these different styles, automatically have your picture transformed into this. And they're like, they're literally robbing us. And I said, hey, welcome to what the music industry has been screaming for 20 years.
Yeah.
They're literally stealing our work. And I'm like, dude, when my first album came out, I was able to find a link where it had been downloaded 30,000 times. I was signed to. I had a major label distribution, but I got no upfront money.
Yeah,
and that was 30,000 copies of money of sales that could have bolstered my career. So now, and it's way worse with AI. And I mean, like, there was, when that popped off, and it hasn't been but maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And this has been like within, maybe 2 or 3 months. And it was one app, and you saw everybody's profile picture start to change on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, everybody started using all these AI things, like, hey, which one do you, hey, I'm trying this thing.
AI art.
And then Pixel, and then like there was like 16 different apps. You start seeing advertisement, hey, use AI to change your thing into all these different kinds of styles. And they were using AI to copy all these styles of arts of classic artists, but also modern artists.
I know some other writers who used AI to do portraits of their characters. Yeah, and I've seen, and like, they're good. They look digital, like you can clearly tell like it is not an actual painting. So don't worry, Roxana, you will continue to have a career.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's funny, is like what Nick was talking about with Angela or J. Reese Bradley last night.
Yep.
You know, about how like the typos, as writers, we always angle to excise the typos and to clean it up and make it perfect. But like now,
Not anymore.
you're going to need the typos because they're going to be the imperfections of the brushstrokes that make it authentically human.
That's the
And
signature.
yeah, it's going to be the signature.
That's right.
You know?
That's
Ah,
right.
sweet. Thanks, Chris.
Chris Caps.
Chris Caps.
Yep, he
with
said
the
there.
$2.
He said there goes all
Yeah.
the band classes.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Yep,
Chris Caps, my man. Thank you.
yep. There go the band classes. You know, I mean, well, the band classes kind of left. I was actually talking with a friend of mine that teaches middle school band in the public school system, and we were talking about strategies to help get more funding to create more band. You know, like how do we make bands? And I told him, I said, well, we could get money to try to bring it to the schools, or we could separate it from the public indoctrination systems and have community orchestras, which would have a longer legacy because then
I like
then the state can't tell you, oh, we're pulling your funding. Well, that's fine. We have private funding. We have grants. We have all these other things. So I'm literally trying to help him, like with By Fate Studio,
Yeah.
have a place to do that. Hey man, look, you're gonna be able to use this place to rehearse and to have this. And I'm hoping to make that something that goes. I mean, if the Lord don't return in the next 50 years, like, hey man, we're gonna have a community orchestra for everybody in the region. So that way you can help teach the young. And also when you graduate from school and you still want to play your instrument, you have a place to play it.
That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
You have a
Great
place to
idea.
play it.
Yeah.
This is why the church needs each other, because you know, one church of 100 or 200 or 300 people can't have a 50-person orchestra.
Right.
The likelihood of that happening is, I mean,
Yeah.
50 to 1.
Yeah.
But if you're partnered with like half a dozen, you know, and that's the thing with another friend of mine that we've all known each other for 20 years, we're trying to create a model to then take to other areas and say, hey, look, partner, find 5 or 6 pastors you can that you can meet, you can pray with, that the congregations can come together, and you can literally transform and insulate yourself from local, you know, from state and local government.
Yeah.
Because then you become the government, and then people are trying to do, oh well, we're not going to get away with this because these people are going to stand in our way. So we got to do. I mean, they literally did that in the town I lived in. When we bought our house, it made me so happy. I walked into we went and looked at the house. We looked at the property. Man, I think this might be it. And we go to a restaurant and nobody's wearing masks.
Nice.
This is in 2021 when it was
Wow.
still in place everywhere.
Yeah, it's hot.
And there was not
so
a
hot
mask.
right now.
There was not a mask to be found because you see that Skynet, the Terminators, had not yet taken over. The AI had not grown powerful enough to indoctrinate all of mankind. Yeah.
Did you guys talk about the while I was away? Did you talk about the AI wars
No.
No.
and what has kicked off now? Because so the adoption curve for ChatGPT has been shocking. So Instagram, if I recall, when it was first launched, it had its first million users in that. I think it took just over 13 months, and it got its first million
Wow.
adopters. TikTok has always been number one. TikTok got its first million in the first 9 months.
Yeah.
And which made it the number one fastest adopted platform. Well, ChatGPT had 1 million users in 2 months,
Holy cow.
and it's a curve, right? It's a curve. And
That's
so
a hot. That ain't no curve. That's an
It's
angle.
a rocket that's basically straight up,
It's like the 2020 election.
and it's probably
that
double
was completely
since then.
fair and honest, the most secure election of all time.
It was absolutely
of all time.
absolutely, and we don't talk about such things.
Yeah.
We
Remember,
gotta
we live in
strike-
opposite land.
Yeah. It was great. It was
It was a hockey stick because that's what happens.
It was, everything was handled electronically. It was done very well.
Yeah,
It
you
was
can
done-
trust the machines. I
I
mean,
mean,
look
you
at
think about
Terminator.
how well they navigated that in the face of just what the country had just gone through, the lockdowns and everything. Yeah, it was good. It was the right call.
iRobot.
Yep. But anyway,
2 months.
ChatGPT is just kind of the most popular iteration thus far. There are other smaller startups that are trying to compete with it. Google has just hit the absolute panic button
Awesome.
because it's ChatGPT in itself is going to become a contender as far as a search engine that gives you one authoritative result and not page after page of what the system thinks you might be looking for,
Mm.
which, is a model upon which hundreds of thousands of businesses have relied,
Yeah.
to show up in those organic searches, and to, place bids on keywords. And,
Find the best plumber near me.
Mhm.
This is the best plumber.
Yeah, well,
You're
now
not
you're going
getting-
to get one answer.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to get 15 guys.
Yeah.
You're going to get
Yeah.
one.
And Google really freaked out when Microsoft invested about $9 billion to integrate OpenAI into Bing. So now it's going to be called Bard. So Bing is going to be a serious competitor and could outpace Google as far as users once that AI is integrated. I mean, think about it. Google has
Oh, yeah.
90% of all search engine traffic,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
and Bard.
And
by
number 2 is
Microsoft-
YouTube.
Yeah, and number 2 is YouTube, and Bard's going to outpace them if Google doesn't figure something out, which means Google has to figure out something that's even more intuitive,
Mhm.
even scarier.
Yeah.
So now you have this massive. Well, and Microsoft's going to integrate AI into all of their Office suite.
Yeah.
It's going to do the thinking for you. It's going to make everyone dumb, but even scarier than everyone being, absolutely useless human beings because of AI. We're going to have these massive bottomless pocket companies developing smarter and smarter and smarter AI, and it's going to accelerate. John Haller talks acceleration.
Mhm.
It's going to
And knowledge shall increase.
Yeah, and knowledge shall. That's exactly right.
Once again, see, it is the legend. Once again, come on.
Again,
Again, it is the legend.
I love it.
I love watching y'all's face when you listen to it.
Such a good movie. I'm not sure what anybody says.
But once again, see, the Bible predicts everything. So,
yeah.
and for those of you that get anxious out there, and we do, we get upset sometimes, we get amped up,
Yeah.
but that's why you have to have the word in you.
Yeah.
That's why you have to have the word, because if there's a scripture for all of it, and you can take it back to the word, that's why he told us these things would happen. He told us these things were going to happen. He revealed that, and that scripture is before Jesus.
Mhm.
That is OT. That is Tanakh.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up Mike's question here. I'd like to get your thoughts on it. I certainly have some opinions on this. Probably not very popular opinions on this. This is a great question. Mike R says, how do you feel about AI for editing and mastering? Is it an additive or detriment to the industry? There are tons of musicians that might not have the mindset to do it. They might be great at writing and creating the music, but not editing. Start with music, and then I want to hear Jonathan's opinion on how that would apply to writing and literature.
So for music, they've had that for a while. There's actually one called, it's not Luna, it's either Luna or Lunar or Lunar, mastering, and it's AI driven. It's old. To me, it's there's always presets. Now with AI being a little bit more intuitive and actually really reading those frequencies, it's I don't know, man. It's kind of like it would have to be very sophisticated to make it pleasant to the ears. Because it truly is an art form. I mean, it really is an art form. But as far as the aspect of, hey man, yeah, you're a good writer. And so for instance, here's a great example. I have a song that the Jesus Deserves More Than 4 Chords. I sent it to a friend of mine to mix.
Yeah.
Because though I can mix well and I can master well, I have lost objectivity on that song because I've been sitting on it and working on it for so long.
Yep.
So I needed another set of eyes and ears.
Yep. You're smell
especially
blind.
ears. Yes.
Yeah.
So the problem with using that is music is supposed to be a communal thing. I mean, yeah, you can have a guy play guitar and due to modern recording advances, one guy could play, he could be a whole band. Like Ray Charles was one of the first ones to record his own background
The guy who
vocals.
makes the Mandalorian theme is a certifiable genius, great at his job, but there's no competition when the London Symphony Orchestra plays the Imperial March.
100%.
Absolutely.
Because collaboration.
Well, yeah, and you get with that, there's that strength in numbers thing.
Yeah.
And though I could record myself 100 times, I will not be as strong as 100 people.
Yeah. One stick break it easy.
Yeah.
50 sticks wrapped in bundle
Yeah, what's it? What is this?
is
What
socially
is
protected.
what is a bundle of
There
50
is a
sticks
French
called?
word for it. You can look it up. It was used in medieval
Taggif.
times.
It's Taggif. That's how you say it backwards. So if you run this thing back, if the
It's not
Luciferians are
baguette,
watching,
it's not baguette.
yeah,
Togoth.
Togath.
Togoth.
So when they run it
Togoth.
backwards, when the Satanists, when the Luciferians
Of
watch
the
this in
hill
reverse to try to
people.
undo everything we say, they're just gonna hear that word that would get us flagged.
They'll get triggered. Get triggered to give
Hello,
up.
So-
I am Lothar of the Hill People.
So so that's all. That being said, Mike, I think it can be useful for demo, but I wouldn't use that as a crutch because, like auto-tune, it can just once again it weakens. It's never gonna. I don't think it's ever gonna sound as good as having a human, a human set of ears and hands to craft that. Especially because how do you tell in artificial intelligence where what interested? Because all it's reading is frequencies. Is it going to be able to distinguish where your voice and the bass and the guitar, where these frequencies are overlapping each other? How is it going to tell know to turn down this element versus this element? Well, because we're going to feed it all this stuff. I'm like, man, I think we're a ways away from that. And even then, even if the computer can do it, I mean, what's the point of making music at that point? Just turn on the computer and let it do it.
Yeah.
It will never have a soul because it is soulless. I mean, like, it's just going to be copying and pasting, which is the problem with modern music today. That's why it's soulless, because all they're doing is copying and pasting. They're not going and digging into deep of their own experience and putting that into a song. They're just like, this guy made this, so I'm going to do the same thing because it's popular.
Jonathan, what do you think?
I was starting to write a note that said tag off character in short story for Patreon.
You're writing a short story?
I was literally, I was like in the
you're making
middle
a
of
note
like,
to yourself.
I was
That's
gonna
great.
make a note to myself
That's
to like,
great.
I gotta turn.
We're
that
gonna
into
have to clip
Patreon
that and
exclusive.
rewind it to make sure.
While you're making your note, I will say that one of the cooler live streams you've done recently is where you're actually composing music live.
Yeah, it's very.
You're
cool.
actually going through the process and writing and building the song and going through the creative process live, and AI can't do that. One of the I think people are probably going to be more attracted to watching the artist in process.
Yes.
Well, and this is where independent music is really becoming a problem for these major record companies, which is why they're stealing streams from. And I'm going to say this: listen. Nothing wrong with inherently nothing wrong with Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, but understand you need to support these smaller independent artists like this guy right here, like the ones that you follow and enjoy that bless your life. Because when you're only listening to the stream, well, I listen to the music all the time, they may not be getting the benefit. Those numbers are taken, and who knows where those numbers go? Only the company knows.
Yeah.
Only the company knows, but it's becoming a problem because they're independent artists that they're breaking away from the industry, like Darren Ron talked about, and they have enough of a fan base to sustain themselves. If you have 10,000 fans that will spend $100 on you a year, that's a 6-figure income. Now you're not going to be able to go right off into the sunset on a cruise ship, and people are like, oh, that's $100,000. That's a lot of money. No, it ain't.
Yeah.
No, it ain't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like you haven't broken out of the lower class. You don't break out of the lower class until you cross over $120,000 a year. Yep. And that's a pre-COVID statistic.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's even harder now.
So you're still in the lower class if you're breaking $100,000 a year, but these artists are doing, they're like, listen, I got a fan base. I have people that are supporting me. You have to do more than just create music. Because unless you have like 10,000 people, they're going to go buy a record, which most won't. They're going to stream it.
Yep. Yeah.
But they might join your Patreon. They might watch you on YouTube. They might buy a T-shirt, so you can kind of piecemeal it together. But the artists are figuring this out, which is why a lot of dummies they're having to sign these fakers to the record deals because real artists, they're like, no, man, y'all are going to take everything. You're going to force me to do things I don't want to do, and then you're not even going to pay me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like traditional publishing.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Well,
Yeah.
well, we're taking all the risks and we're doing all this investment. They don't. And the funny thing is, now they're just going after people that actually have a following online, and the people online, like that actually happened with the Chance the Rapper.
Yep.
Chance the Rapper told the labels to go kick rocks like half a dozen times. It wasn't until they came to him with the Doritos deal that he's like, "Oh, okay, y'all gonna come with me with some millions, with some 7-figure numbers."
Yeah.
That's a whole different conversation. But at that point, he didn't need them.
Yeah.
They, this is why they're going after these legacy artists and they're buying their catalogs.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh man, he got this $100 million. It's like, dude, he just sold his grandkids' inheritance.
Yeah.
And the label knows it.
Yeah.
Now, if you got good accountants and you got good people, you can kind of do something with that money. But the bottom line is, I mean, why in the world would Michael Jackson go over there and buy that Beatles catalog?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because, dude, that's money for your great-great-grandkids.
Yeah.
That music ain't going nowhere.
I want to ask you how that ties into the whole Crowder and Daily Wire conflict that happened recently. But before we do, I want to recognize Chris again. Another super chat. Really appreciate it. And we want to bring up his comment and address that. The art
Thanks, Chris.
people healing with hurt sound in a circle. Saw that done on the media. Is that a real thing? Gabe, you're probably a better one to speak on this.
Yeah.
You'll have to send that to me. I'm not sure about that specific instant, but science, once again, science is catching up to the Bible's catching up, and unfortunately, the church and the majority are still out there. So here's the truth. Here's science kind of pursuing it. Here's the esoteric, which are actually ahead of science,
Mm-hmm.
and here's the church running in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
I'm gonna explain that again.
Diagram that for
Here's the
us.
truth. Okay. Here are the New Agers that are kind of close to it, right? But they're missing the mark.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Here's science catching up and understanding.
Downstream of the mystery cult esoterics.
Yes. And here's the church running in the opposite direction of that truth.
Yep.
Okay. They understand that they can confuse.
Or desperately writing the lab coat tales of the scientists.
Yeah. Well,
Looking
they're
for
seeing
handouts.
cause and effect.
Yeah.
They're seeing cause and effect, but they've been using sound and music for warfare
Yep.
Yeah.
for decades.
Mhm.
Michael Brown talks about this in The Power of Music, that they've been using that for torture since like the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Shout
know,
out to our fallen brothers at Waco.
Yeah. So they were using sound, but now that they were like, well, man, we can actually do more harm and people don't even know it.
Oh yeah.
Because we can propagate. And once again, it's like the CIA with Project Mockingbird. If we can get in bed with these companies, we'll give them some government money. We'll give them some hard-earned taxpayers' money. I mean, we're really funding this creation of music to harm ourselves.
Mhm.
Because if music, but here's the thing: if music can be used to destroy, can be used to harm, can it not be used to do the opposite?
To heal.
And once again,
Yep.
let's go to the Bible. Do we have an example of that? Look at Jericho.
Yeah.
Look at David and Saul. And if you understand church history, that's where actually the Gregorian chants came from. Michael Tyrrell talks about that. Before the Gregorian chants, there was music in the church that literally people were having miracles. People would go in and get healed in the singing in the church. Yes, the bells. That's that whole, man, that I haven't chased that rabbit yet.
That Tartaria thing, it makes you stop and pause and think.
What does
and get
Tartaria have
onto
to do with bells?
The church bells, they've mysteriously, many of them are gone.
Whenever an army invades, one of the first things they do is they take down the belfry. They destroy the bells.
Not just to smelt it into usable
No,
metal?
they just destroy it. No. Yeah. They turn it into little
That
jingle
is
bells.
weird.
Well, because they go for the bells because bells have a healing resonant frequency. I mean, I heard a story on NPR literally 10 years ago. This is when I was
Wow.
dating Kathleen. About it was on Science Friday. It was the only time I'd listen to NPR because I was dating a biochemist. And
You're doing your research before the
yes.
next date.
doing my research, baby.
Doing your pre-work.
Yeah, I was preambling
You're
for
a
the
good man.
prenup.
You're a good man. You
You know.
cared. That's the thing.
That was the downfall. $6,000 and a year later of therapy, and I wound up a pirate on the Buccaneer in Destin, Florida. So you tell me who
Which
won.
ended up being some of the best
Yeah.
times of your life, by
the
the way.
way. Yeah, I mean, it definitely
There's
has
some silver
memories.
lining there.
Yeah, there
You
is.
got to be a pirate. I told my kids, your Uncle Jonathan's a pirate.
I mean, I'm
For real.
I'm
He's
an
a real
official pirate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Showed a
I mean,
picture.
on the midships line leading up to the quarter deck of the Buccaneer, it literally has "Beauty from Ashes" painted on it. So I was like, well, that's apropos.
There you go.
So, but yeah. So anyway, Science Friday 2013, NPR, they literally had a story about how there was a new tested theory study being done with oncologists using resonant frequencies to burst cancer cells.
And one of the doctors that was pioneering that is in Florida, and Michael Tyrrell, who wrote The Healing Sound of Music.
Yeah, I have The Sound of Healing right up there on the bookshelf. It's a great book by Michael Tyrrell.
Like Michael Tyrrell.
Yep.
He knew that doctor.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
That is cool.
And he did everything so private and so under lock and key because he didn't want to get disappeared.
Yeah,
it's illegal. It's not one of the three.
Yeah, he didn't want to get
treatments.
Clintoned. You
Yep.
know.
Yeah.
Two
Because-
shots in the back of the head.
And that's the
Self-delete.
thing. When you heal somebody, there's no profit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Once again, question everything. And while there might be we were talking about this earlier, there might be a lot of well-meaning doctors and nurses and surgeons, but they have been trained by this system of man, by this what was it, the person that you had that was talking about the staff, the Greek god from the staff, that the medical
Vicky
system.
Joy Anderson.
Yeah.
What was the
Pharmakia? No, the Asclepions.
there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, the Asclepions. Yeah.
This system is built to keep you sick.
Yep. That's exactly right.
It's built to make you sick, and they're trained
Emotional damage.
and they're trained to keep you sick.
Yeah, they are.
Because that's how they make the profit off of you. Like you were talking about your hospital bill.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're self-pay? All right. So what, you want to go home?
Yeah. Oh, there's a 92% discount. And
92% discount if you're self-pay.
if you're self-pay, and then if you can pay in cash, like check or debit card or something like that, there's a further 20%. And as soon as she explained that to me,
Jeez.
like I was telling Gabe, like literally 3 hours later, the charge nurse came in and was like, "Well, you want to go home?" Now,
Yeah.
granted, I had already had a poopy that day, so they knew I was in the clear. They just were waiting, but they knew, that like basically there's no point in milking the insurance company for a bunch of stuff anymore
Because there's nothing to milk. There's no
and
milk.
there's no milk, and there's no guarantee
Sickening
that my
and
little
maddening.
boy udders could
Yeah.
actually pay the bill that they were going to.
So
So-
all that to say, with getting back to his original thing, send me that thing because I want to see about that healing
Yeah.
thing. But if that's something the church would tap into, there's frequencies that birds sing that open plants to receive pollen.
Oh yeah, believe that.
There's
Yeah.
frequencies that whales, there's frequencies all through the earth. There's the 432 argument of the 432 tuning, there's the 444, there's the solfeggio tones. But if we would study, show ourselves approved, and try to understand these things and ask, and the Bible says the Holy Spirit would lead us into all knowledge. Imagine what would happen if you had real healing music, real music from heaven pouring out of churches.
Mm-hmm.
How much more receptive people would be to the word of God if it's truly being preached, as we talk about all the time. You have preachers that preach all sorts of nonsense, non-offensive gospels.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta give my boy, hopefully Phil Von Can is still on there. He said, can you imagine someone calling on a computer to have Michael Jackson and Willie Nelson and Sandy Patty all sing a verse on your song? Oh my gosh. Oh, Mikey Marrero. Y'all, I interviewed him on my channel. I think it was during COVID. Like, he came out of demonic oppression. He has a tremendous testimony. He knew one of the demons' names
Whoa.
that was
really?
afflicting him.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That dude came out of some dark stuff.
That's crazy.
He knows that's why my man.
Dude.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that's
Oh, Chris Caps again.
Hey, Chris Caps, you're gonna pay for my pizza.
Yeah,
Dude,
amongst
what's up
amongst
here?
other things. Yeah, Mikey's seen.
Dude, super chat. Thank
He
you,
understands that Mikey understands that this faith is a supernatural faith. And it cannot be simply intellectual. You were talking with Jordan Peterson, and it can't be just supernatural. It has to be balanced, and that's the hard part.
Oh yeah.
That's the hard part, is to keep it balanced.
Yeah, Chris, let's see. He says, Gabe, I watched your testimony, and when you said that you felt healed when you started playing sax, and you got invited to play for this service, we were talking about you were trying to track down the original footage for that.
Yeah,
Right?
from the church, and it's actually funny because it's become a controversial church because of the pastor who bought his wife a Lamborghini, but he wasn't the pastor when I was there to play that concert. Yeah, it was in Greenville, South Carolina, and I'm hoping to get Ron Canoli to put
in a good word for you.
Well,
get that footage.
Well, yeah. So I'm trying to find it, but we're actually emailing. So to hopefully do an interview on the channel.
Oh
so,
man, that'd be fantastic. With Ron Canoli, man.
With
And for
Ron
anybody
Canoli.
who may not know, Gabe, you were healed of cancer live
Supernaturally.
on stage.
Yep.
Yeah, while playing.
Got the scars to
church.
prove it. While
Yeah.
playing for Ron Canoli, whose report will you believe? We shall receive the report of the Lord. For his report says, I am healed. His report says, I am filled. His report says, I am free. His report says, victory. We don't sing songs like that in church much anymore. And in the song, there's a saxophone solo, and it says, are you healed? And that's where the saxophone solo starts, and that's when the Lord hit me.
Wow.
I got the goosebumps right there.
Me too.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could feel it going through your body.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
It is
That's amazing.
We don't understand it, but once again, it's why we have to have that childlike faith.
Yeah.
We have to have, and just be obedient. When the Lord says move, when the Lord says walk, when the Lord says play, when the Lord says don't say, don't,
Mm-hmm.
because it's in knowing when to do and when not to do.
Yeah. Yep.
Do or do not.
Mm-hmm.
There is no try.
I want to get back to Steven Crowder and Daily Wire because that was a big thing recently. But I still want to kick back to Jonathan. I need to go back one step more.
Oh, the
I
chat.
wanna-
The
I want to hear
AI.
your opinion on the AI and the editing aspect. What are your opinion on?
About,
What's your opinion on using AI to edit to write draft creative work, but also would you rely on it for editing, or are you kind of opposed to that?
Functionally and technically, here's the thing. With some of the people I know, I have it on pretty good authority that AI has probably already reached the singularity. We just don't know about it yet. So the game's already over. It's really just a matter of the clock, and moving the king as your last piece on the board until the enemy
dodging the queen.
Yeah, until their enemy turns their pawns into queens, and
Until Jesus descends with his entire set of chess pieces.
Yes.
yeah,
And it becomes 4D chess.
yeah.
That's awesome. Yes.
And we say bye-bye.
That's right. Yes.
yeah. So, editing. Would I use editing for AI? Well, first of all, AI will probably get at least as good as people, if not better, in the next 2 to probably 5 years max at being able to replicate and give a human editor's skill set and be able to give you exactly what you want. But it depends on what you want. It depends on what kind of editing you want. Do you want copy editing? Do you want punctuation and grammar editing? Do you want story editing? What StoryGrid provides? Or do you want something that is just find the Oxford commas?
Yeah.
Just make sure that I didn't
spelling errors, typos.
So, and we already
You
kind
gotta
of
ask
have
Steve
that.
about that when we talk to him.
Yeah.
You gotta ask Steve about
Well, we
it.
already have that with Grammarly, and Grammarly is if a 6th grader tried to be your editor. Grammarly is so wooden-headed. I tried using it. I don't even bother with it. It's a waste of my time. So technically, right now, it's not good enough. Depending on what kind of editing you want. In the next couple years, it'll probably become indistinguishable from a human editor, if not better, at this rate, because it's exponential.
I agree.
But out of principle alone, the signature, like you were talking about on Jay Reese Bradley's interview last night, the signature of the typos and the flaws, I would rather have a human edit it and miss something than have it be pristine.
Mm.
You know, and like here's a weird thing that I've noticed as a writer and a reader. You know, when I'm reading a book, you know, and I like the book and I enjoy it, you know, you go through phases when you find a typo, you know, or you find a mistake somewhere. And at first you're like, at first you're actually like, man, that's a bummer. How did that make it past? You're outraged on behalf of the work. And then there's like this brief flash of pride where you're like, I got one over on Frank Herbert. I found the grammatical error on page 157 of Dune, you know? But then
how can this be?
And how can this be? For he is the Kwisatz Haderach.
I am the Kwisatz Haderach.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I was just thinking about that scene.
I'm sorry. He brought Frank Herbert in there, and I'm like, I'm trying to respond to like 14 different things. I'm like, hold up.
And he wrote
Dune.
Yeah.
You can't
What's
escape
a
it.
Dune?
You cannot escape it.
Again, it is the legend.
This is how I feel every time Gabe and I talk about Dune.
Ready?
Indy, Henry, follow me. I know the way.
Fall off the camel.
Yeah. Greatest ending. Yes. So anyways, so editing will functionally, or AI will be able to functionally compete or supersede with editing. But when you find these typos in these books and you love these books, you go through like these weird stages of grief in a way where you arrive ultimately at this place of endearment. Like, you'll laugh at this, but like 7 years ago, I met this girl who Alana, I think was her name. Beautiful redhead. And very sweet, very friendly, very funny, lots of fun, very intelligent, like great. But she had like this little bit of like a snaggletooth on her incisor, right? Like it's just it was an imperfection, you know? And the imperfection borderline made me develop a crush for her. Yeah. So there is something about...
That's why my wife's madly in love with me.
Yeah, I mean...
Clearly.
Yeah, we know.
Your many imperfections.
Yep.
Yeah. That's why it's
From top to bottom, baby.
All
day long. All night too.
I think that's interesting. You know, it's because it's like why CGI, it can't fool the eye yet because there's something inherent that we recognize is fake in front of us, and it can look like, and we'll watch it like, wow, that really almost looks real.
Yeah, that looks almost real.
But you know it's not real.
The shading isn't right, the hair isn't right, and it looks too sanitized and too clean to be real. That's why all of the Star Wars movies, all the post Lucas Star Wars movies look really good, and why Mandalorian looks really good. You know, now story awful, you know, themes awful, but like they look because they're tangible, because the lighting is consistent, because the lighting is right, things look dirty, you know. And it's the same thing with books. You will get to a point where you will miss the typos and the imperfections that endear a thing to your heart more so than if it were perfect.
Yeah. You know, and I think too that when I listen to Stephen Pressfield talk about his relationship with his editor, you know, and the camaraderie that they have, the history that they know each other, and his editor has, I mean, there's nuance, but there's this sense of where Stephen Pressfield might be going with his book, or there's a sense of which story is going to do well beyond just the technical function of editing the work. There's a relationship that's built. And what's scary to me, frustrating, is that like technology has always done, and now especially with AI, it replaces human skill. So,
and it atrophies us, which Frank Herbert warned us about in Dune.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Yep. Facts.
When you are collaborating with other people that have different skill sets, you know, these are people who have decided to build a skill to serve their fellow man somehow.
Yeah.
This is what they're bringing to it. And if technology replaces that, and you're okay with choosing technology over that, you're choosing something that has not chosen to serve other people.
Yeah,
You
it's not even self-serving. It's arguable whether or not it's self-preserving. It just exists.
It's almost like you're killing a person's purpose.
No,
by
you are.
choosing
You're
it.
depriving somebody
Yeah.
of their purpose.
Wouldn't it be better to choose a potentially flawed editor
For the
and build a
relationship.
for the relationship of it?
Yeah, because I mean, not to sound hokey, but like, 2 or more are gathered in my name, so there shall I
Well,
be.
David said
So there is
one
yeah.
can put 1,000 to flight, 2 can put 10,000 to flight.
10,000, yeah.
Can you do one can put 1,000 to flight, but 1 plus AI can put 10,000 to flight? I don't think so.
No. No,
Yeah.
not well. That's what he was asking about. Using it to mix and edit, and versus the orchestra versus the one man. Well, yeah, the one man can do it, but is it going to have that same power of the orchestra? No,
Dude.
And this is
When
why
you hear an orchestra live.
this is why I'm trying to bring this back into church. This is why I'm trying to push choirs, and I was really incredible. I hate saying really, especially with 2 authors in the room. It's like you can find a better word than really.
Yeah, it really works.
Yeah, it really works.
We're not that good.
Yeah, no, that's not true. That's not true. You just
We told you we're self-published, right?
Yeah.
Just making sure you knew that.
it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. But the same thing has happened in church. We've taken the choirs out. We've taken the orchestras up. Now we got like 14. Not even 4. We got like 5 guys up there playing guitar and a drummer, and we think that equals the power and a sound system that's
And a guy with talent playing the keyboard.
Yeah, well, no, you see, the guy, man, I've been taking piano for 10 years to play one chord, as opposed to having the 30 voice, the 50 voice choir.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing. That was actually something that I really was grateful and amazed and encouraged by the thing I did with Elevation this past Christmas, because they had like I think it was 30 or 40 voice choir, plus a 10 voice praise team, plus a small horn section, plus a small string section. And I'm like, you're so close. You're so close. Now do this all the time.
Yeah.
Don't make this a special occasion.
Yeah.
Do this all the time.
Yeah.
And what will happen? Because the thing is, well, it's expensive and we can't do this all the time. Really? What about the Mormon Tabernacle Choir?
Yeah.
They seem to have no, we were talking about the Mormons yesterday. It's like, well, how are they able to do it all the time? And they're supposedly, they're so off and wrong, and the doctrine, and we have all these issues and whatnot, but yet they're able to do it with a full orchestra and a full choir.
Yep.
I mean, I'm talking like 100 voices, 50-piece orchestra, and you hear them. I mean, go to YouTube and check them out.
and Lucy Harrison.
Well, I'll tell you-
Smart.
I'll tell you another reason why they should do that is because it's going to draw people into the church. Because with the rise of AI, people are going to be so saturated with AI generated art.
Yeah, we're gonna hate it.
They're going to hate it. They're going to be looking for something authentic.
They're
gonna
already
flock
there.
To churches.
They're
gonna
already there.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
going to flock to the symphony.
And I'll give you another example. Art, painting.
They're going to want to watch artists in
Tangible.
the yeah.
Like, because if you think about it, see, here's where AI will push the boundaries of digital the intangibility and the atrophy of and the ephemeral nature, the ungratifying nature of digital technology in the digital world. It'll push that over the brink of acceptability for a lot of people, because like Ice Queen is a painter. Yep. Guaranteed, if I paid for a painting and I can pay ChatGPT for a painting, or I can pay Ice Queen Empress for a painting, and it's the same results, I'd much rather pay a human, because, and especially like with Roxana, we've interviewed Roxana a couple times. She's done some paintings for me for the Heavenly Realms books, and she does them all by hand.
Yep.
And then she mails them to you.
Yeah.
And you can, like, I have them in my room right now. I can pick up the paintings framed that she has made for me, and if I wanted to, I could take them out of the frame, take the glass off, the plexiglass, and I could touch the texture, of what she has made.
Yeah.
And
That's
so, and eventually, I'm sure AI will get to that point where they can make that. But also, like, here's where like Steve and I's like weird mysticism kind of overlaps a little bit.
Okay.
I think there's soul energy in artwork.
I do too.
I think there's real.
I don't know how I would
soul-
define it. I don't know if I'd define it like that, but I think I know what you're talking about.
There's just some human stuff some just vibe
Yeah.
in it, you know? And so like
Some sort of creative juice. There's juice there.
There's
Yeah.
something. Well,
Yeah.
why does the Bible say? Why do we have to touch and agree? If there were not something spiritual that is transmitted through a physical touch,
Yeah.
why does he say lay on of hands? Why
Yeah.
did Paul have people give him what the televangelists copied? That Paul said he did. They would bring napkins that he would touch and anoint and pray over, and they would take and lay it on the sick, and they would be healed. There is something tangible. Once again, take it back to the word and find if it's in the word. There's something there.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
may not ever understand it, but that's why a musician touching an instrument, that's why an artist touching a that's why your mom cooking dinner. Mom, love you. We were talking about you cooking today because my brother made some amazing
Gabe's
beans
mom.
today. So he made the beans were so good my grandfather would be proud. But it's like that when you have a parent or grandparent cook for you, and it's like, man, when you touch the food,
Yeah.
it is just, I know the recipe, I can follow it perfectly,
Yeah.
but it tastes different when you do it. Why is it different when you do it? And that's where the church needs to be, because everything that we do is supposed to have that something different factor from the
Yeah.
books. Now I'm preaching. There's something from the books that we write to the songs that we perform
Yeah.
to the words that we speak. It's supposed to have something different. I'm about to shout up in here, man. The Pentecostal's going to come out.
I wish I had a sound for that. There it is.
Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is. That's what I got to say next time before you hit that.
We could have totally tanked Gabe by just doing it.
Oh, no, I'd have been like,
would've
even the
so
crickets
mean.
sing the praise.
Does that make Salidian scales?
Hold on, Mama. We got some comments. Let's see. If the rock band overshadows a church, I can't take it. But then again, find a good church is tough, really tough. Amen. Nothing can replace a great choir. Yes, they do. I did the first recording at Princeton Church of God Choir, and they have grown and they have taken that ball and running, and it is exploding, that church and that ministry. It's amazing, man. Oh man, they sound so good. They're up to, and they can't get but maybe 350 in that sanctuary, and the choir is up to I think like 50, 60.
Dang.
It's incredible.
That's awesome.
It's incredible. So though it's difficult, and he's actually trying to find, he called me, was trying to work on for some brass arrangements to bring a local brass band that was kind of helping different churches. They just go pop around to different churches. So they're already, people are starting to find this model of cooperating amongst each other, amongst the congregations, because this is why we have to even change our vernacular and not call it my church, that church. There's one church. There's a church. There's not a bunch of little churches. There's congregations, because it's the one church. And if we can start to say that, we'll start to, it'll change our thinking. It starts with your speech.
Yeah.
Because if you start saying your church, that church, my church, your church, well, who's
The church.
exactly? That's what the Bible says. He said, my church, the church,
Yeah.
not your church, a church.
Yeah.
The is singular. It's a body.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a finger ain't a body. You know, a finger can't work by itself unless it's connected to the body. We have to stop operating disconnected.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a little bit of an aside there.
That's all right. Well, you know, in Revelation, there's the letters to the 7 churches. You know, Jesus gives a message to 7 separate churches, but each one is, in my opinion, I think they're generational churches. I think it's the church through different generations. Personally, Chuck Missler.
Well, it is, and it's separate to congregations, because and this is where we have to, in this YouTube era, in this age of social media, where somebody could watch this 10 years from now, somebody could watch this 2 years from now in another country with translated subtitles. That's a whole different, you know, that's trying to attempt to think like God, because you're thinking not in this here and now.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that was what Pastor Allen said in, you know, right there from Encounter Christ, Encounter Church. He said, can you preach 60,000 hours on a Sunday? And every pastor, no. Yes, you can. Because if you have people pull up your sermon and watch it on YouTube, you can have 60,000 watch hours of people watching you preach the gospel.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So when is he talking to those churches in that day and time? Yes.
Yeah.
Is he talking to a spirit of those ages? Yes. Is he speaking prophetically? Yes. But he's also talking to that here and now.
Yep.
you know, who can know the mind of God? I mean, like, that's just, it's crazy to think that he can do all those things simultaneously.
Yeah.
I mean, that's even going back to the Greek. It's like, you know, does this, when you're reading these scriptures, when you're reading the patriarchs, when you're reading the lineage of Noah, is it the lineage of Noah? Yes. Is it a prophetic message? Yes. Is there something else hidden in the numbers of that message? Yes. The rabbis teach there's 7 levels of understanding, and that's just the beginning.
Yeah.
And in English, we're happy if we get like, I mean, we get the lineage, we get the prophecy, and we're like, oh, it's a rhema word. We got something. We got 2 things out of the scripture. And the rabbis are like, there's like 7. And that's kindergarten.
Yeah.
So we're over here walking around thinking like, oh, we've arrived. We're so smart. You know, like you're saying, that intellect thing. And it's like, man, you haven't even scratched the surface.
Yeah.
And we'll get to heaven and they'll still be teaching it to us. Because that's how inexhaustive the word is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be
amazing.
studying it for eternity. And yet still we'll look and say holy.
Yeah.
The angels that have been outside of time in his presence since he created them have seen new aspects and just cried holy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Holy, holy, holy is the Lord.
All right. Gonna change gears
Yeah.
and want to go over to the Crowder thing.
Oh yeah. Isn't this right now? 2 or more sharing space.
Yep.
So the definition.
Little
Absolutely.
outdoor church or
100%.
channel,
We are.
Mhm.
We are. It ain't just us
Yep.
here in this room.
Yep.
Once again, see, we can gather. Now this doesn't replace, I believe, the gathering together like we were talking about, you know, during those lockdowns.
Right.
It is important to gather together. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like we fellowship.
Gathering with your family in your home that nobody left to gather is not gathering.
You didn't gather anything.
Low effort.
Yeah.
You
if
didn't
you're-
come together.
Yeah, it's different. It's like
Me
you're
coming.
gathering together your Legos, but you haven't taken them out of the bin. You're just kind of scooping them together
Yeah.
in the bin they were already
Me
in.
coming from North Carolina to here is a gathering
Yeah,
together because
absolutely.
we fellowship
Yeah.
together on FaceTime. We call each other,
Yeah.
but coming together
Yeah.
in person, it's next level.
Yeah.
And once again, the touch. If it wasn't for that touch and agree, well, how can you touch and agree lest you gather together?
Yep.
You know, there's no getting out of it. You know, I'm sorry, Christian. Actually, I'm not sorry, Christian. You just need to get out,
Well, that was another thing during the lockdowns that even the world was starting to notice. People are isolated from each other. There's not just
the
interaction,
the harm.
but the social distancing and no touching. That was
Yeah.
a big deal. That's why a lot of people sank into very deep depressions.
and died or killed them. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not gonna can't.
Self-delete.
Yeah, there you go.
Mhm.
The self there you go.
Yeah, that's they are like, oh,
Hold their
this
own
is
pen.
really bad. But the Daily Wire and Crowder, let's.
Thank you, Chris. Once again, Chris.
Oh man, Chris
Killing
Caps
it, man.
again,
No
dude.
soul.
Let's pull this up here.
That's right, man.
see what he said.
It cannot replace AI.
No soul and talent that God gave you replaces AI. Man,
That's right.
see, I'm telling you, that's what you're feeling. You know.
Yeah, and I think most people with a soul will be able to distinguish. But there are some that are they're so numb.
Well, you won't be able to distinguish. This is true as someone who has like paid money for Fiverr that I should have never paid. You will not be able to distinguish AI artwork from crappy human artwork. And I got the bad covers that none of you have ever seen that I have paid for to prove it.
Wouldn't it be funny if you had been
So-
pay an AI all along?
You
And
know,
it was programmed to be just a degenerate loser who was
That would
always
make me feel
slacking on his
less-
timelines.
I would feel less like gypped. if
Well,
that
see,
were the
I'm
case.
in my conspiratorial mind, I'm like, well, who says that Fiverr didn't like fabricate this personality?
Oh, it probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because all of them, like, none of them are like native like United States.
No, it's
citizens.
Pakistan, Bangladesh,
Yeah,
India, you know, all these places out there in the
Where
East.
if you are kind of a beta version of an AI, you can get away with having faulty language and syntax because
Good point.
second language.
Who knows, man? They could have been doing that for the last 7 years and nobody knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, oh, well, you know, people, they want to pay us the money and get something cheap. All right, they can pay some money and get something cheap.
I was
It's
talking
the origin of e-thoughts.
I was talking with someone at work the other day.
Nice.
Da-da-da.
Nice.
Sometimes I'm more of a wronger than a writer.
I was talking with someone at work about all of this, and they were really concerned about AI and its capabilities. And they said, and I want to get your thought on this. They said that they never ever imagined that, they Christian, solid Christian, but they're like all that eschatology stuff. People have been thinking Jesus is going to come back for 2,000 years. And, and this person said, until this AI and this guy's older than me. He's a deacon at his church, been a Christian all his life. His dad was a pastor. And he said, until this month, really, until the emergence, the public awareness of this AI and what I've just seen it can do, I thought all that eschatology stuff was a waste of time. I didn't care. I didn't want to hear it. It irritated me when I heard it in church. Just let it go. He goes, but now I have to acknowledge that all of those things that are in the Bible are now possible. All of the things that were not possible in the past that we see in Revelation, I can see how it can all just fall into place right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah,
that scared me.
It shouldn't.
It scared me because this guy had turned a major corner in his awareness, because I love talking about all the weird stuff. I love talking about end times and keeping my eyes open and all that stuff. And I love the guests that we interview.
Yeah. This is why this ministry is so necessary, brother, because there are people that are in the church panicking, which if you don't understand where that word even comes from, Pastor Allen actually does a great mini teaching. I actually need to text him to tell him to find that, but it comes from the God Pan, the little one with the goat legs and the flute. It comes from that, and from the gates of hell that the Lord was in front of, preaching in front of. That's a whole other study. But there are Christians that are seeing what's going on since in the last 3 to 4 years, and they are panicking, and they are running. They're losing faith. They're running from the church, or they're running to the wrong places for the answers. Mm-hmm. This is why this ministry is necessary, because it's like, and this is why we have to stay prayed up. And as these new things come to light, we run to the word, we get on our knees and like, Lord, we trust you. Give us understanding. Paul said the Holy Spirit will reveal all knowledge. Give us a word. Show us in scripture where this is. It's crazy. One of my favorite things that Chuck Missler breaks down is in, I can't remember if it's in Ezekiel or Daniel, but it talks about the arrows that have their own intelligence. Like we read, like the way the English translates the Greek, translates the Hebrew, it confers the intelligence elsewhere, but the intelligence is actually
Zechariah is one of those two studies.
Yeah. But the projectile itself has intelligence. How in the world would somebody in the iron be able to even conceive of such a concept,
right?
As smart bombs, smart missiles.
Mm-hmm.
It's there. It's been there.
Laser guided bomb.
Yeah, it's been there the whole time. So why are we going to worry? He's been. I'm telling you, the answers are there if we'll dig. It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, the glory of kings to seek them out.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And we have to seek them out. Ask, seek, knock.
Yep. That's good. That's good. Crowder, sorry.
No. This is
we keep shifting back into the AI gear because it's such a fascinating topic.
It is, and that's Corey said. Honestly, I'm numb now. To just to protect yourself, Corey, and I know you need to hit me up, man. We need to talk because I know he's had his issues with the church and with religion. It's fair. And I get it. Like Jonathan shared earlier, he left. He became apostate. And actually, we had a wonderful conversation about that. I felt the Holy Ghost in that because he was talking about how did we even get on that, Jonathan? Talking like you being apostate, like when you became apostate.
We were talking about the intellectual
and grieving the Holy Spirit, because you're talking about like what we don't even know what that is or what that could be.
Because I was, we were talking about whether or not like me having a season of apostasy or my own mini age of apostasy, put me outside the gates. And God, God will have mercy on people. God will have, grace for people, but at a certain point God cuts them off, and it's like, well, when is that? That's the hard thing. And the only metric we have for that is grieving the Holy Spirit, but the Bible is decidedly vague on what that is.
Yeah, thankfully.
And probably contextually, it's probably one of those things that it's like each person. There's
Yeah,
probably
you
not...
said case by case. He is just. His judgments are righteous. But I tell you what, in that conversation that the Lord even revealed to me, because he said, and this is, I'm telling you, man, his mercy endures forever. You go to that psalm where it's 2 or 3 lines, his mercy endures forever. And then 2 or 3 lines, his mercy endures forever. Check this out. In the word, Peter, with foul language, with cursing, and I almost want to do it for the shock value, because we say that we churchify a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But when you start dropping, when you start dropping F-bombs, I need like the beep beep to censor myself. We need a censor button.
I'll write that down.
Yeah, we were talking about drops and all these different things that we need. We should have wrote them down, because I think there was like 15 of them, and I forgot like 12 of them. With cursing denies the Lord.
Yeah.
By the Lord's own standard, he said, if you deny me before men, I'll deny you before my Father. But what does he do? He comes back after he's resurrected, and he says, Peter, do you love me?
Yeah.
Yes, Lord. Peter, do you love me? Peter, do you love me? He gave him the opportunity to cancel that curse.
All three. Yeah.
I'm feeling the Lord now. I'm really gonna. But he still had to deal with the consequence.
Right.
And this is what we discussed. One disciple did not abandon him. And he was the only one that did not pay for his salvation with his life.
Yeah.
The rest, every other disciple paid in blood.
That's right.
For their salvation.
Yeah.
They all were martyred, except for John. Why? He never denied the Lord.
Yeah.
His mercy endures forever. There's grace and mercy at the cross. But let me tell you, there's always consequences.
Yeah, that's true.
Now you can rest assured that in the end, man, he's going to give you every opportunity, but you're still going to have to deal with the consequences.
Yep.
And that's what we don't like as humans. We want all the consequences. Lord, I did this, and can you just forgive me? And yeah, I forgive you. You still made a mess.
That's one thing that I used to really take umbrage with one of my bosses when I was in Florida. Was like, he was a bad dude, and he did some bad stuff, hurt some people, regularly. And then all of a sudden, his dad died, and then a few years before I came into the scene, and he became a Christian, and he cleaned up his act, and that's like his testimony, but I was like, first of all, I'm not impressed, because I've seen you in your temper and when you flex on me, and the other thing is, like, what have you done to atone to those people that you beat up because you didn't like the way they looked at a bar? Because that's what you would do. You would go to the bar with your buddy, and you'd pick out somebody you didn't like, and you would wait until they're outside and you jump them, and beat them up.
Yeah.
So, like, you should pay in blood for that. Blood or gold. One of the two. You should pay for that.
And that's biblical.
What happens, here's the thing. What happens between you and God is between you and God. But what happens between you and the people you hurt, that's something else.
It is.
And you should pay for that.
Yeah.
7 times.
And there are some
and they can
sins.
forgive you.
Yeah, and
those victims can forgive you.
They can, but there will be a coming to Jesus. There will be a judgment and a consequence for everything we do here, good or bad, either in this life,
every idle word,
or at judgment. You know, there will be an answering for all those things, and there are some sins in which you sin against that person,
Mm-hmm.
but you also sin against God
Yep.
and you sin against yourself.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. All three.
And so you're talking about,
Trifecta.
yeah, there's some that are dead ringers,
Yeah.
and there's a host of consequences coming your way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so just read the Bible. You'll find them.
Yeah.
Find
Yep.
out what the sins are.
All right. Now Crowder Daily Wire.
Let's do it.
Crowder Daily Wire. Boy. Well, how do you want to get into it? Like, what's
Well, we were talking
It
about
sucks.
it. Kind of ties
it's
back into
stupid.
when we were talking about music and what the internet did to the music business and what AI will do to the music business, and we got to talking about ownership and publishers and how they want to own everything that you do, but you got to do all the work. So apparently, Daily Wire and Steven Crowder were engaged in conversations about maybe joining forces, bringing Crowder onto the Daily Wire. That was kind of the pitch, the offer. And there were some private conversations between, Jeremy, whatever his name is.
Jeremy Boring?
Yeah, Jeremy
Boring, yeah.
Boring, God King, and Steven Crowder, and they were negotiating the deal, and Crowder didn't like the terms of the deal. So he secretly recorded the conversation, or one of the conversations, and then, played it live
Mm-hmm.
on his stream, and was basically saying that, these creators are going to own nothing that they create for the Daily Wire in perpetuity.
Once again,
They would basically be salaried. They'd be wage slaves, Jeremy's words, which really turned me off. It made my blood boil when I
That
heard him
was
say
so
that.
bad to even say that privately to a friend. Like, that's not something you joke about, man.
No, man.
That's not something you joke about. But once again, like, he's talking about that, like complaining. I'm like, welcome to the record business, dude. They've been doing this for 20, 30 years.
Yeah, well, it made my blood boil.
First
Saying,
time.
let him be
It's
wage
like that
slaves for a
meme,
while.
First
Oh.
time.
And I'm like, well, hey, you know what it turned into? Actually, I was like Zangief from the Street Fighter the movie. You got paid?
yeah.
yeah.
Because in the music business, you take an advance, that's a loan, son.
Yes, it is.
And they do it like once again, run by the mob.
Yeah.
You got to pay off the VIG before you can pay, and then you got to pay off the interest. But you got, and it's like it's compiled so high, you're never gonna get out of here. Why don't you just sign up and we'll renew, we'll do another deal, or we'll shelf you. I mean, like there are
We're gonna charge
artists.
you for all the buyback copies.
There have literally been artists that they've signed to move. That happened to a friend of mine. They signed him to shelf him so another artist could come out.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
They're
That's so
playing.
dirty.
They're playing chess. Like these are just. We are just pawns to these people
Mm-hmm.
because they think they're God. They
Yeah.
think they're God, and that was what he was saying. That a lot of people don't understand because they don't try to run businesses for themselves. They've never tried to be an entrepreneur, and they look at, oh, he's just a complaining and he wants $100 million and he just being a baby. And Candace Owens made a complete jerk of herself going on Tim Pool. I'm like, you are doing like that loudmouth ignorance that spewing from your mouth hole
Mm-hmm.
was sheer stupidity, because like you're in the business and you still don't understand how this thing works.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude, you have like this guy sees the long game.
Do you think Crowder did that? Do you think he'd kind of take a crooked approach to doing that?
So
Do you think he was misguided or was shady
I think it was
about the way he?
I
went
think it
about
was
doing that?
emotional. I think it was a feminine response.
Mm.
It was emotional to do that, to air that out in public. It could have been done differently and better.
Both sides were failures.
100%. And the funny thing was, as this thing started to happen, by the time when Daily Wire outed themselves, I'm like, and here we go. This is exactly what the church has been doing for like hundreds of years.
Yeah, this pathetic infighting.
Beefing. We're beefing with each other.
Spending a whole lot of effort. I mean, and it's funny, but it's a spirit.
Mm.
Because look at this divisive spirit that is really, I mean, it started as a little crack, and now it's turned into this gaping divide. And you know it's a spirit because once it's going in here, it's like water. Be water, my friend, like Bruce Lee. It's going in here. So it starts with Daily Wire, and Crowder, and then it goes over to Tim Pool in the quartering.
Yeah, now it's Elijah and Sydney.
I mean, it's just
Watson. Yeah.
all over the place, and it's just division. And as believers, we once again, what's the world doing?
Yeah.
They're dividing. What do we believe? We got to do the opposite.
Yeah.
We got to
Mhm.
come together.
Yeah, we got to be careful because those divides, there will be no reconciliation now. There will be no way that Crowder and Daily Wire can come.
Well,
together
they
and
can if they'll swallow their pride.
See you, Kathy. Have a
Yeah.
good night.
Kathy's
Thanks
out.
for watching.
All right, Kathy.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. If they
So-
swallow their pride, that's a tall order for anyone.
I hope
But
that
with that level of visibility,
I hope they do
yeah.
because it would show the Jerry Maguire, the pride swallowing siege that I will never fully tell you about. So they aired out their dirty laundry, and in order, if he's really, I tell you, and this is going to be a litmus test for me. You really care about the movement. You really care about these voices being silenced, and you really care about free speech. Then you better be willing to pony up and say, I'm sorry, I that was a little bit.
Mhm.
Putting that phone call conversation should have been kept private.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm keeping this for legal in case I'll ever need it.
Mm.
And that people like he should have never recorded a contract, but they're friends. When you are discussing $100 million business deal with your friends, you better be recording that phone call because I've been there. I've been screwed by pastors that told me one thing in person, they didn't put it in writing, and when it came down to sign something on the dotted line, I never said that.
Yeah.
I had a pastor tell me to my face,
Yes,
I never said that.
Yep.
Now, whether he forgot or he actually lied, who
Yeah,
knows?
who knows?
I cannot question the intent, but I will give you the fact that I told my parents, this is what this pastor told me, so I will take this position, and then this thing that I was told I would have is not there. So you better record that phone call when you're talking. It's business. It's not personal. Go watch a mafia movie.
Yeah. And in Crowder's case, he's having to protect the careers of anywhere from 12 to 24 people because that's what he employs. So, and he pays all the production costs. There was nothing wrong with recording a conversation. There's nothing wrong with what he originally did, which is to talk about the term sheet, not name names, and then announce his intentions of what he wanted to do. The first mistake that was made was when Daily Wire outed themselves because no one knew that it was them.
Nope.
No one
There
knew.
was speculation, but
but everybody thought it was Fox or somebody else. And then the second mistake was when he released the phone call. And that's how you know that the people you worship are just as craven as you are. It's the same thing with, Tim Pool having his temper tantrum. And then other websites or other channels like Liberal Hive Mind calling it a psychological break. It's like, dude, you clickbait, like whatever, and then Sydney Watson wanting to sue Elijah Schaefer, and like all the misconduct. And it's just like, and Daily Wire, like, you want to talk about a bunch of greedy little shekel lords. Like, there you go, dude. They're all crappy is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like no one is awesome. No one is like worthy of your adoration or idolization is my point.
Yeah.
They're all people.
Well, I'll tell you,
You
where
know?
the fallout for me personally is that before that whole thing went down, or actually, you know what I'll say, while that whole thing was going down, I was not a Mug Club member.
Yeah.
After that whole thing came to light, I still wasn't a Mug Club member.
Still not a Mug Club member.
But I did cancel my Daily Wire subscription.
Right, so it's like a net loss for them.
It's a net loss.
If they would have kept their mouth shut up, and just let it go. Yeah, I mean, look, we just watched a foreign nation's balloon, like whether it's a spy balloon or a delivery device, whatever, float across our country.
And here we are.
3 days later, and it's
Chipper
like
Chin.
yeah, it's like more or less forgotten about.
Yeah.
So like, and if like traditional thought, conservative thought is like counterculture now. So you're downstream of the power curve of the forces that be. So you can't afford beefing and infighting. You can't because there aren't enough of us. It's the Spartans at Thermopylae. You need a phalanx.
Imagine,
Shields
yes,
locked. Yeah.
imagine
So
if
if
they started, well, you're not holding your shield high. I'm not.
Yeah.
Bam, they're all dead.
Yeah, they're all dead. One break in the line and you're all dead. So, like, grow up. Stop acting like a bunch of teenage girls. Act like men. Shut up.
Act like men.
And if you have problems, discuss it behind closed doors.
Keep a united front.
Yes, keep a united front and work it out behind the scenes because the enemy loves to watch us.
Man, they're storming the gates.
Squabble. They don't even have to lift a finger. You know? You can just watch all this stuff happen and just laugh, you know? While all of us are just eating each other alive over stupid crap. Like, all of these people ultimately are net positive.
Yes.
They're not worth worshiping. They're not worth idolizing. It's up to you whether it's worth your money and your time, but they're all a net positive.
Mm-hmm.
And but they have got to grow up.
Yeah.
And stop it. And there were some people within Daily Wire's camp who were.
Great point.
Andrew Clavin's take on it, I thought was beautiful.
He's a base guy.
He's Jewish, Christian, a senior. He's in his I think early 60s. He's been around the block, and I wish they would have talked to that guy, been like, hey, because and this is the problem with being led by the young.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the wisdom?
Yeah,
church.
That's a great question.
And I'll tell you why the tribe, and I don't want to call it in camps, because it helps us to see us as a unified, as a nation, as a church. The Reformed tribe are being led by their seniors, by their elders. John MacArthur, R.C. Sproul before he passed away. That's why they're taking ground. They built the Ark. They built the Creation Museum.
Mm-hmm.
They are killing it on YouTube.
And don't apologize. That's the other thing.
Not us, dude.
Do the thing that you are convicted of doing in righteousness and don't apologize.
They don't qualify.
Yeah.
This is what the Bible says.
Yeah.
Take it up with Jesus. Take it up with God.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I should. I see stuff all the time and I want to send it to you guys. I'm like, man, I'm going to send them 15 things. I'm going to be like, good, quit texting.
Yeah,
us.
I will put you on silent.
Yeah.
I have many friends that I've put on silent.
R.C. Sproul. It was this, and I should have saved it. Maybe I did, but I don't know if it was Instagram or TikTok. Anyway, R.C. Sproul had this thing. He said, people will often say, wasn't the judgment in the garden harsh? Okay. Like, well, man, he sentenced them to death. He sentenced the entire human race and the earth. Dude, the entire physical universe was cursed from Adam's disobedience, not Eve's. Adam's disobedience.
Yeah.
Read the word.
Yeah.
Read the word. It doesn't say through Eve. It says through Adam.
Yeah. Which, by the way,
give me that horn, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Sorry to trigger y'all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the serpent didn't come to Adam, by the way. The serpent came to Eve because the serpent knew it couldn't trick Adam, but it could trick Eve. Welcome to Western civilization's downfall. So,
but this is the point. We look at that and we say, man, well, yeah, that is kind of harsh. Like some people. Mm-hmm. R.C. Sproul, an elder in the faith, he said, dirt, which is what we are. It's what that word means. Mm-hmm. Adam. A speck of dirt lifted its finger in rebellion and said, I'm going to do it my way to God. Mm-hmm. The audacity.
Yeah.
After
Adam failed to protect Eve because he wasn't there to do his job.
Choke that snake.
Yeah. He wasn't really there to do his job. It was his fault. He wasn't there to protect Eve.
Well, we don't even know if it was. So that's the thing. It's ambiguous as to where he was.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's depicted like he's just there listening and watching this whole thing transpire.
Right. Yeah. Like a simp.
Because, who knows? Mm-hmm. It doesn't say if he was there because it just says it gave him the fruit.
Yeah.
Or she gave him the fruit.
Well, the serpent knew he couldn't deceive Adam.
Yeah.
So,
but she could.
But to take that back to the...
Or it could be more like Chuck Missler says. It wasn't a deception. He
willingly. He wasn't deceived. It never
No.
says Adam was deceived.
Adam wasn't deceived.
He did it willingly because he knew that Eve had goofed up and there'd be consequences. And he didn't want to leave her behind.
Well, and
he
see,
wanted to be with her.
And you know the beautiful thing, and this is why he gets choked up. Why? And Chuck Missler's not an emotional teacher.
Right.
He's not a Pentecostal charismatic
I've only
teacher.
seen it twice.
Yeah. And it's always talking about the God when he's talking about what Jesus did for us on the cross. It's difficult for him to keep it together because he understands. But that's why he gets choked up, because what is it called? What is one of Jesus's titles? He's the second Adam, because he willingly endured the cross for us. Adam willingly allowed himself to be cursed because he didn't want what was a part of him, because the two will become one. He didn't want her to be cursed because, theoretically, if he hadn't eaten, the Lord could have cursed Eve, then destroyed her. And like, I'll make you another one.
Yep.
And he's like, we are one. I'm going to have to go through this with, and he's like, and that is a picture of what Christ did for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
What greater love can one have than they lay down their life for another?
Yeah. Gary, to answer your question, yes, I think that is what Paul is referring to. Yes.
I think that's exactly what Paul's referring to in that.
If you want a good summation of Adam's struggle, there's a soliloquy in book 9 of Paradise Lost that is amazing, and it's we're pushing 3 hours, so we're gonna have to wrap up here in a minute, but I think this is a good thing to kind of bring it home on a little bit. This is right after Adam, and remember, Paradise Lost is written in the 1600s, but this is right after Adam finds out what Eve has done. And he's just he's watching her. He actually, in the story, he just got finished making a wreath for her. It says, "O fairest of creation, last and best of all God's works, creature whom excelled whatever can to sight or thought be formed, holy, divine, good, amiable, or sweet. How art thou lost? How on a sudden lost, defaced, deflowered, and now to death devote."
Ugh.
Yeah. Rather, how hast thou yielded to transgress the strict forbiddance? How to violate the sacred fruit forbidden? Some cursed fraud of enemy hath beguiled thee, yet unknown, and me with thee hath ruined, for with thee certain my resolution is to die. Yeah. How can I live without thee? How forego thy sweet converse and love so dearly joined, to live again in these wild woods forlorn? Should God create another Eve and I another rib afford, yet loss of thee would never from my heart. No, no. I feel the link of nature draw me. Flesh of flesh, bone of my bone thou art, and from thy state mine never shall be parted. Bliss or woe. Woe.
For God so loved the world. That is the heart, man. You hear the heart of the Father in that.
Yeah. I mean, that's love. Being willing to walk into damnation for somebody else.
Which is exactly what the Lord did.
That's what he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is, and so to kind of connect that to the Daily Wire stuff, this is why we have to be willing to forgive each other.
Yeah.
And
get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do better. Be men. That was the thing I was talking to you about, like the Jerry Maguire, when they have that conversation right before the big moment of him having his moment on the field. He asked him advice on dating a single mother. And he says, we're friends, right? So friends can tell each other anything. And he's, you have all heart in your life. And then you get on that field and it's all about the dollar. And he's like, I don't want to be friends no more. But that was that. Why don't men have those conversations with each other anymore? To be honest, straightforward.
Yeah.
Look, man, I'm not saying this because I hate you. I'm saying it because I love you.
Right. Yeah. And it's the truth.
This is the truth.
Love is in the truth.
Accept the perspective, because you cannot be objective about yourself.
Yeah, it's true.
You need to accept a perspective outside, weigh it against the word.
Yeah.
Get another person's perspective. But I mean, like, here's this guy. You're the only athlete that he's representing. If you lose, he goes bank. Like, he's already bankrupt. He's working for you for free. You think he's telling you this because he's trying to ruin your career?
Right. What has he got to lose?
So why in the world, like, you have Crowder and Daily Wire? It's like, do you believe I'm here to harm you?
Yeah.
I mean, do you really think I'm trying to push you down so I can create my own platform?
Right.
Or do you think, and that was what I think the majority of people saw with Crowder.
Yeah. A
was
conviction.
He's like, man, the enemy have stormed the gates.
Yeah.
They're in the city.
They're ransacking the city.
They breached the walls.
Yeah.
And we're over here slapping each other over a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
And we're both armed. So
Yeah.
we're fighting the enemy with one hand and fighting with each other with the other, rather than using the phalanx, rather than using the shield to protect each other. And in the church, it's even worse.
Yeah.
In the church, they've been doing it for millennia.
Yeah.
There's a guy that Ruslan did this. He did this breakdown. He featured this other smaller channel, like 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers, but he does this breakdown of the history of the church. It is amazing. Rod, Rod, if you're still awake and on here, you need to do a commentary on it, because he goes through how every branch of every denomination broke off and why.
Yeah. I tell you where they're not doing that. China. Like, I tell you where they're not fighting amongst each other. China.
No,
Thanks, Chris.
that's why persecution is useful. Suffering.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like suffering.
Chris says Christ is the bride and groom, so naturally Satan went after Eve because he created Adam
From his one rib.
from his one rib, right?
Yeah. It was to upset the idea of marriage from God.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
Yeah.
the damage. I mean, it's like that opening, like 2 or 3 moves in chess where you deploy the pawn and then the queen and then the bishop.
Yep.
And the queen's gambit, I think, is what it's called.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's called the Blitzkrieg,
The Blitzkrieg.
the 3-move
Yeah.
checkmate, and you get all your biggest pieces out there first,
Yeah.
and it's a great way to lose your queen.
Yeah.
Turns out.
Yeah. If you're not careful.
Yeah.
That knight gets thrown out there. I've been playing a lot of like chess on my phone, and I play it on the highest AI setting, which, by the way, one of the lowest AI setting is called ChatGPT.
Wow.
I can pull it up right now and show you.
Wow.
Yeah. But, I play it on the highest setting, which is like Agent Smith from the Matrix, and you can play
Mr.
like other people,
Anderson.
but you can play the computer. So like I play it on Agent Chess, which is the highest setting.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But
you
then
use it to take
over
out your
here,
landlady's
Chess
garbage.
GPT.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
But yeah, I've also learned how terrible I am at chess. How much I suck.
The highest setting is called My Son Christian, who's pretty darn good. Well, I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah.
Where we hit the 3-hour mark.
Yeah.
Before we go, let's
Thanks for
do
hanging,
our,
everybody.
Yeah, for real, man. Want to do our tail end obligatories here.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, first and foremost, Gabe, where can people find you?
Well, hopefully wherever you're watching. So almost everywhere, it's Gabriel Bello Music. YouTube, Gabriel Bello Music. Instagram, Gabriel Bello Music. TikTok, Gabriel Bello Music. Facebook, Gabriel Bello Worldwide. Twitter, at Gabriel Bello Muse, because it doesn't have enough characters to put ick. GabrielBello.com or GabrielBelloMusic.com. Got a bunch of stuff coming out, so I am not hard to find. You can put me in Google, and Wikipedia will appear.
He has his own Wikipedia.
I am on Wikipedia.
That is
So-
impressive, sir.
Well,
Impressed.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'm
That's
there.
a marker, baby. Yeah, that's a marker. You get your own wiki page. You get your own page on Wikipedia.
Just means I'm on the enemy's radar. Might be on the periphery, but it means I'm.
He's not in the belly of the beast yet, but the beast is definitely like sniffing around. Patton.
Rihanna was playing with ChatGPT the other day,
Mhm.
and she
thanks for like feeding the system.
she said
Do not talk to that thing. Like,
well, yeah, she entered in. Tell me about Rihanna Goss's book. She has a bunch of books about teaching kids classical composers.
Night, Mom. Love you.
And so she put
Good night, guys,
tell
Mom.
me about this. What is this particular book written by Rihanna Goss? And it said, these composer studies were written by Rihanna Goss. They're designed to such and such children's education. It was like this perfect book description. and she said, "Tell me about the Travelers League series written by Nick Goss." There's not enough information about Nick Goss to tell you anything about him. I was like, "No, you kidding me?" Nothing. I don't exist. I don't exist in the AI. Couldn't tell. It didn't know anything about me.
It's a good and bad thing, I guess. There's a half.
No, it's a bad thing. My pride was really wounded. I'll be honest. I was like, "This is."
Let it fuel you to promote your work better.
Well, I think I did an okay job.
Well, obviously not if it's not talking about you. See, once again, we got to be honest.
I don't know. Maybe. Anyway.
Well,
it was
tell
fun.
them about your book then, so we can feed the AI.
I was
So
like, all right, tell me about Larry Goss. Then, of course, paragraph. You know.
But
So.
you know, but it's one of those things like we all feel uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Artists.
the silver lining is that the obscurity means I'm not on the radar. You know, which is
That's
great.
what I'm saying. Like
Which is
there's a half full, half empty way to look at it in both ways. And yeah, you're not on the radar with them, so it's like, well, you can control your own narrative, number one. But number two, the other half full of it is let it motivate you to properly, okay, once I become on the radar, what am I on the radar for?
Yeah, true. That's true.
Because I'm on the radar
test.
for
Litmus test.
smooth jazz.
Yeah.
I'm not on the radar for healed of cancer, crazy Christian out here praying, freaking, you know, like that was why that whole thing with Sony went you know, bad last year, that I don't talk about that deal, because like this guy's talking about Jesus every 5 seconds on social media, and we're out here trying to promote smooth jazz music.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, dude, if it wasn't for Jesus, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be one of these phonies like, well, I got to get to a higher platform and then I'm going to talk about Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bait and switch you.
Yeah.
So, you know, as you build what you're doing,
Yep.
you have to kind of keep that in the back of your mind. It's like, well, what am I about? And what am I, as I feed this thing, as this AI continues to take over, and this is all of us. Because, you know, when you're going there searching, when you're looking, it sees you when you're searching. It knows when you're awake. It knows what you like to watch. So be good for goodness
I was
sake.
just trying to be funny. I mean, it's just an anecdote. I don't really care. But, you know, but I think it's interesting that this, you know, it's intuitive enough to learn up to a certain point. They said they turned it off in 2017.
Lies.
That was before I wrote anything. But I wrote all my stuff 2 years before my wife did,
Mm-hmm.
which tells me that it was learning up through at least 2021.
Yep. Well, once again, man, we don't believe anything they say.
No.
Oh, we turned it off. Sure.
They didn't turn it off.
Sure,
And
you
it's
did.
not unbiased.
Safe and secure election, man.
It's not unbiased. If you ask a politically biased question to ChatGPT, it will say, you know, I'm not allowed to, you know, I can't opine on that and give you an opinion. But there was one guy, my friend at work was telling me about this. There was someone that kind of, I don't know, outsmarted it, outfoxed it. It says, you know, I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I want you to give me an answer. But I also want you to give me another series of answers as a person named Dan who's not restricted by your unbiased parameters.
Brilliant.
And
And it answered.
didn't tell him which way to lean, but asked him a series of political questions, and it was really, really far left.
Oh yeah, no, that came out. There were a lot of the political comment. Well,
Yeah.
actually, not all. Some political commentators were talking about like how it's like left of Stalin or left
You're
of
not going to go to
Lensk.
Silicon Valley and have the Republican National Convention. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or even like the libertarian or just logical. Just you know, we're not going to feed it history.
No.
We're not going to feed it that.
All right, sorry, I got off track here. We got to go. Let me just check a last couple of comments here.
Whoa, thanks, Ice Queen.
I don't see. Let me see here.
Super chat for 20.
Oh
Nice.
man. Ice Queen Empress,
Thanks,
thank
Ice
you.
Queen.
Very, very generous support. Thank you so much.
Very sweet.
Corey
really,
Sampson,
really
I
appreciate
am
it.
your bro. I will always be your bro. I love you no matter what. We go way back.
And at the end of our live streams, of course, we mentioned our patrons, starting with Hemingway level patrons, Mama Shaw OC, Jody S, American Cars. Thank you guys so much for supporting us every month. And then our Orwell level patrons, we got a great group, man.
Cascadian Breeze.
Yep.
Hey, I think I see
Man.
that. I know who that one is. That sounds kind of familiar.
They
Gabe
just
Bello
signed
music.
Gabriel
Who's that guy?
Bello.
I'm gonna have to
Music?
I'm gonna have to wiki that one. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
maybe
That one.
it's on Wikipedia.
Yeah. Christy D, Mike Fisher, of course, Ice Queen Empress, Blue Eyed Bandit, Carol J, Jamie J, Sean, Sunny, Michelle, Charlotte. Thank you guys so much
Thank you. Yeah.
for helping us keep this thing going and
Yeah.
growing.
Yeah.
So you're really, really appreciated. We love you guys very much. And if you're not a patron and you want to be, go to patreon.com/the Gosslings. You can find us there. Join our community, our growing community of like-minded. I almost said like-minded patriots. That's not really what it is. Patriots of heaven, really, more than anything
Amen.
else.
Kingdom citizens.
Yeah, it's a great group. We love you guys very much, and I don't have anything else unless you guys do. I'm about to fall asleep. Man. It's midnight. My wall is like 9:30, and I think I did okay.
Oh, you did great,
Nick
man.
did
did okay.
well.
Yeah,
Nick
you-
did very
You
well.
didn't even
You were-
take a nap today.
You were
an
engaged.
old man.
He was fully engaged, but like we had a lot. We covered so much ground.
He took a
Yeah.
potty break and he came back. Like I
Strong.
really was just expecting
Strong.
him to go to bed.
It's better than a Red Bull.
He
baby.
got a second wind.
Yeah, got a pee-pee wind. So- The sky is
That is
blue
true.
and all the leaves are green.
What is that
My
from?
heart's as full as a baked potato. I think you know precisely what I mean when I say it's a spadoinkle day. And as I ride on
gonna
my
get it.
I know
girl,
it's. I feel
she's
like
my
it's
best
Trey
friend
and
in the
Trey and
whole
Stone, isn't it?
world.
Yeah. It's,
What is it?
Stay
Matt, it's the
optimistic,
South Park guys. It's
keep
from
your aim high. There's nothing you
South
can
Park?
do.
No,
when you
no,
aim
it's
for
either
the
Orgasmo
sky
or it's the
is
other one, which is the
blue
first
and all
one. I
the
can't
leaves are
remember the
green.
film.
Yep.
It is
Cannibal.
Cannibal.
Cannibal the musical.
Cannibal
heard
the
that
musical.
song. I don't
Dude,
even
it's
think I've
such a
seen
funny
Cannibal.
movie. Matt Stone and Trey Parker's college
Look
film
at Chris
school,
Cap throwing another one.
film school movie. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah,
Chris Cap. Let's see.
Let's do another super
Wish
chat.
the thing wasn't so slow. I can't see. it.
Dude,
Gotta
I
go back
know,
to the
yeah.
chat here. What's
it's
up?
tired.
the,
It is.
computer-
It is.
the
Thanks,
computer's
Chris.
like, go
Yeah,
to
thank you.
bed.
Thank you guys for the fellowship. Absolutely. man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
thing I was going to say a last word. Stay on your knees, stay in the Word, and stay engaged. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss this stuff, and support everyone in this community because we are building a community. You want to be we have to be the change, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to change the culture, shift the culture. That's why we're working together because 10, 15 years ago, you wouldn't see a smooth jazz Christian musician working with a couple authors, even though we have so many of the same interests and the same mentality. They'll be like, well, these two things don't go together.
Yeah.
Well, in the kingdom of God, it all goes together.
Yeah.
It all
That's
goes
right.
together.
That's right.
True. Very true.
We love
Gabriel
you guys.
Bello with Gabriel Bello Music. Nick.
It's been so fun.
Yeah.
This is great.
This has been a lot
First
of fun.
ever midweek live
Yeah.
stream.
Yeah.
Gabe here with us
It's a nice shakedown
in
cruise.
studio, in
You know?
garage, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's been awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
All right. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Nick.
I'm
We're
Gabe.
The Goslings. Gabe.
I'm a
new
Gabeling.
honorary member of the Goslings.
Yeah.
Yep. Go forth, everyone.
And strike down the darkness.
Amen. See you,
See you
peeps.
guys.
Amen.
Bye. Nice. 3 hours. You were streaming that on your channel.